All righty then. We have had our entire day already thrown for a loop within the last several hours. Good morning, everybody, or good early afternoon. It is another live edition. It is a legalized edition. It's episode 21 of Press Row, your front row seat to all things involving the intersection of sports, business, media, and culture, right here on ETB, as always, presented by Playback and by Novig. That man is Nick Morganson in Plainview, New York. I'm Cal McClurg, as always, joining you folks here from San Diego, California. Another action-packed lineups of topics, takes, deep dives ahead, and more importantly, massive NBA breaking news at the top of the show. Before we get to it, though, let's remind you, though, that you can find us on social media at ETB Network across Twitter, IG, and TikTok. And also, don't forget to smash the subscribe button over at youtube.com/ETB Network, and let's grow past 1,000 subscribers. But also, more importantly, let's get to 4,000 watch hours. What do you say about that? And also, more importantly, we are brought to you by our friends over at Playback TV, the real-time fan-first experience, where you can watch games with us live, react live, jump on mic and connect with your fellow sports diehards, NBA, MLB, soccer, much more, all happening here on Playback. Sign up for free today at playback.tv and never watch sports alone again. And we're also brought to you by our great friends over at Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market. Available right now in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win in the long term because there is no house edge whatsoever. You play against real users. And more importantly, if you sign up today and use promo code ETB Network, you can sign up for free exclusive bonuses, including our network special of spending $5, getting 50 back. Well, Nick, if these two people actually would have used Novig, we probably would be talking about them for the first hour of the show. Good to see you, my friend, as always. How are you doing today?
I mean, isn't that ironic that we have a sports prediction market sponsor? Oh God, we're going to talk about illegal gambling. No, I mean, I was just saying to you before we started this show, I love this show because things change like 2 hours, 3 hours before the show goes live.
And today it changed in a massive way across basketball.
I mean, can I literally say wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo this morning? Quite literally. I mean, holy cow! Like, out of the blue. Like, seriously, because, I mean, we'll get to the gambling scandal. We have a lot of other things for this show, too. But I'm just going to warn you up front. This gambling scandal is probably going to take up a good portion of the first hour.
Yes.
Because there is a lot. I did a lot of digging. You did a lot of digging. There's a few videos we're going to play. FBI leader Cattell, we're going to hear from him. We're going to hear from some of the other FBI who spoke at the press conference, I think in New York City. So we'll play that for you. When you hear the way that the technology was used in this gambling scandal, you're going to think that they were in an FBI movie, or a secret agent movie, the way this went down. But that's only one part of the show. We're also going to talk about a merger that might lose some jobs. It probably will lose some jobs. We thought that was going to be the main story today, but not the case. We are going to talk about First Take because we kind of, what would you say, scrolled over that a little bit, not knowing it happened. We'll get into that. An HBO documentary about A-Rod. No one asked for that. Also, who might acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, the sports stuff. What else we got? Oh, college football buyouts, because that's been a really hot topic as of late. Saudi Arabia is going to enter the fold in this show, too. More from Pablo Torre Finds Out, which, by the way, is becoming like my favorite podcast to watch now. And I'm not saying that because of hyperbole. I just think he does a really good job with the show.
Yes.
What else do we got today? In your neck of the woods, a certain high-profile NBA player is now an owner of a team.
Yes.
Let's see. Oh, we got some high school NIL lawsuits, which that one's fascinating as well. That NIL could be making its way all the way down to the high school level, which I don't know if I'm too thrilled about that.
No.
We're going to talk some soccer. And, of course, I can't be... what's the word I want to use?
If be exonerated from WNBA talk.
Yeah, exactly. Because we are now 8 days.
8 days away
from Halloween, which is kind of ironic that it's on the spookiest day of the year that we might have a WNBA lockout. And yeah, so this is going to be a good show, but let's get underway because we're going to need quite a bit of time to get through this.
We do. One quick note again, folks, as Nick kind of alluded to again, we're 8 days away from the WNBA lockout. We are planning right now on 2 days of late night coverage, day before, day of the lockout at roughly 9:30, 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 o'clock a.m. Eastern or 12:30 a.m. Eastern on both the 30th and 31st. We're going to keep working on that. We'll have more about that when we get a little bit closer to next week starting. And also, more importantly, if you are in fact joining us on YouTube or on the playback TV side of things, and you can use the live chat box and give us your thoughts on all things sports, business, and media.
I'm just going to say one thing also. The night of the lockout will probably be the longer show of the two because you're going to get the most live reaction probably from all the WNBA players. So I would say you might just get a normal like 2-3 hour show probably on the 30th. Just be prepared. We might be doing like a 4 or 5 hour show depending on what is it, Friday night?
Friday
I
the
think
31st, yeah.
so. It's going to be a long night, depending on. So, just be prepared. We're going to bring you every piece of WNBA information when it breaks.
So with that, Nick, let's get to the major story of the day, though, that broke at about 7 o'clock this morning Pacific time. That involves, though, Nick, a massive 4-year-long gambling sting that came to a head this morning, involving both Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, who both were arrested on Thursday in a massive, according to an FBI probe and operation involving over 30 people and 2 separate criminal enterprises. Rozier is charged in a illegal sports betting scheme, a conspiracy to commit a wire fraud and money laundering that allegedly used confidential insider information on player injuries and performance to fraudulently profit on prop bets, including one incident during his time with Charlotte in 2023 where he left the game early with a alleged foot injury. Billups, the NBA Hall of Famer and was the head coach for the Trailblazers, is also charged in a totally separate but related indictment with money laundering and wire fraud conspiracy for his alleged participation in rigged high-stakes poker games that were backed by New York Mafia crime families. Both men have been placed on immediate leave by the NBA. As a sidebar, the case is being handled by the same U.S. Attorney's Office that already prosecuted former Raptors guard Jonte Porter, where he got his lifetime ban from the NBA for gambling. So, Nick, I think the biggest question we have to ask here, and we have a lot, though, folks, over the opening hour of our show that we're going to bring you. We have an 18-line tweet. We've got Cash Patel's commentary from a press briefing this morning. We have a lot of different directions here for this opening hour of the show. But, Nick, I think the first question we need to address, though, with the direct link, though, to organized crime and allegations of manipulating player performance, does this massive federal probe now represent the single greatest threat to the NBA's core integrity of the game since some guy named Tim Donaghy back in 2002 with the Western Conference Finals?
This is fascinating because when Tim Donaghy did it, I wouldn't say that was the mafia. That was just more an insider scheme
Yes.
that was involved. Now, I heard there was a few more. I looked at that story years later. There were some other referees apparently involved in
Dick
that
Bavetta
scandal.
was one of them. Can confirm.
And I think over the years he tries to deny it. Now, I think he's retired, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But I would say they're two completely different things because Donaghy was just clearly gambling on games. That was the main focus of that scandal. Now,
Yes.
it's also different because he's a referee and he does actually control outcomes of games the way he calls them. So he
Yes.
was looking at gambling lines and say, how do I slightly fix these games to be in my favor when I bet on them? Now, players could do the same thing and we would have an issue, but how do we well, I got to think of a better way to put this, but with players being involved, it becomes a whole different scenario because they're the ones actually on the court playing the game, affecting the outcome, and they have more insider information involved, like who's healthy, who's not, who's starting, who's not. And it becomes that type of scenario where if players are getting involved behind the scenes, like are like all they're doing is caring about gambling. They're not caring about the game. Like, are these players that desperate for money? Considering a lot of these guys make hundreds of millions playing a children's game is a joke I used to make all the time. But is there no moral high ground anymore in professional sports? Now, let me not be naive. Like I know like they're adults, they could do what they want. They're grown men for crying out loud. So now they've made their bed and now they got to live in it for whatever they've done. But I would say it's different because the players physically control outcomes of games. Refs only control it from a technical standpoint where they can make a foul call, they can do this, they can do that, but they can't actually score points or put the ball in the basket or say, I'm injured, take me out of the game. Only a player can physically and mentally do that. So that's why I say it's a little different than Donaghy, because Donaghy was just making calls in a game that let's be 100% accurate here. They can affect the game, but not as much as players that are involved. Now, Chauncey's a former player. So Chauncey Billups is a former player. He's not on the court. But Terry Rozier is currently a player right now playing in the NBA. That's a problem. A major, major problem that he's on the court. And he did the same thing, I think, that was done by Jonte Porter, where Jonte Porter basically pulled himself out of the game. And then he gave the information. Gamblers were betting on the under in that regard. Same thing with Terry Rozier. But here's the difference, Alan, which makes this incredible to me. He admitted to the FBI probes that he did pull himself out of the game. Really?
Unreal.
So, this goes, I don't know. Why don't you react partially? Because I'm going to pull up all this information first. But wow, everybody, like, holy cow, what's going on with this probe?
I mean, the initial reaction is just, you kind of knew, though, Nick, when leagues began to take sponsorship money from gambling partners, then, gambling becomes legal. Now, all of a sudden, we get, stuck with all the ads with DraftKings, FanDuel, Underdog, you name it. Obviously, are we perhaps in a way kind of guilty because, hey, you have Novig as a sponsor. They're a sports prediction market. I mean, we are.
But wait, time out. The difference is we're not professional athletes.
Correct.
We're not part of the action, so to speak. We're not out there playing the game and then saying, hey, I'm gonna take myself out of the game and say I was injured. Now you guys go bet $200,000 of bets, which we'll get to, and make tens of thousands of dollars in profit.
So, okay, let's kind of look though, Nick, at the hindsight of where we're at for this year right now. We have two pitchers in the Cleveland Guardians organization who were placed on leave. Banned, and they're now banned from pitching in Venezuela over the offseason because the admin leave apparently is still extending beyond that, and they're suing now for that. But that, of course, happened based off of we're going to throw, first pitch is going to be ball one or strike one, and they intend
which by the way is a little confusing in case people don't know this about gambling in baseball. You used to not be able to bet on live pitching.
Correct.
They changed that, I think, a year or two ago. Which, by the way, how much of a degenerate gambler do you have to be that you're betting on a pitch being a ball or a strike?
Yeah, that desperate, huh?
But first of all, do you know what the odds of getting a pitch right in live motion are? Like 1 out of 10. Like if that. Like
so. I mean, reaction wise though, I'm like. Because again, I got woken up by The Athletic and the ESPN notification about this story at about 15 after 7 local time today. So 10:15 your time today. And I looked at it and I was like flabbergasted. I'm like, okay, I knew Rozier had problems already 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But an NBA Hall of Famer in Chauncey Billups, who coached his team to a very close loss to Minnesota last night. It's one thing, but also then it's just like, okay, this is now what, the third time now in recent memory of the last 20 plus years, 25 years of the NBA's had this problem happen with Tim and the referees, Jonte Porter, and now this.
Well, with the Jonte Porter situation and now this happening in close proximity, too, which is another issue, and we'll get to it because it's in the 18 line items that Joe Pompolino, I think he's from Forbes, put together, which I was reading to you before the show, and you were just making faces at me the whole time.
I mean, to your point, it sounds like something out of like a movie. I was making the reference. I'm sure James Bond would have loved all the technology that they're at these guys' disposals. But quickly, let me kind of again rehash real quick, folks. Again, our breaking news story again today. You probably have already heard about it, though. But once more, Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were among 30 people involved in two separate criminal enterprises who were all arrested early this morning in a massive coordinated FBI probe over illegal sports betting schemes for Rozier, where he was again charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering that allegedly used confidential insider information on player injuries and performance to fraudulently profit on prop bets, which included one instance that he was already kind of in a way linked to with his time in Charlotte 2 years ago, where he left the game with a alleged foot injury, while Chauncey Billups, the Hall of Famer and now Blazers head coach, was charged in a separate but related incident, though, with money laundering and wire fraud conspiracy for his alleged participation in rigged high-stakes poker games that was being run by three New York Mafia crime families. Both men have been placed on immediate leave by the NBA, with this case being handled again by the same U.S. Attorney's Office that prosecuted former Raptors guard Jonte Porter, which, again, Nick, that story was very messy because we had the story of the leader in charge of the ring operation who was on a flight to Sydney, Australia with carrying cashier's checks and thousands of dollars. He got stopped at the gate, was arrested, and that whole thing, of course, has still kind of come to limelight. But again, though, Nick, I think you're right, though. The close proximity of Jonte Porter, and I think you have to factor in Rozier, though. This is now two incidents, Nick, within 2 years of this of him with Charlotte, now here with Miami, where he gets now arrested and popped in this FBI probe.
Yeah, and I want to bring the first video into play because I think hearing from FBI Director Patel will give you a little more insight on this. So let's take a listen to this because this is a 4-minute video. We'll stop at times and we'll talk, but listen to this.
Good morning. Today we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra. The men and women up here standing with me represent a small portion of the leadership team that brought profound justice in an era that needed it more than any. I'll just highlight some of the details in the case and the FBI work, and then you'll hear from the others. But as you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible.
Okay, I want to stop there for a second because he just said something that was unreal. So this was an illegal gambling and sports betting and poker operation done over 11 states with over 30 people arrested. Do you realize how massive this operation is? That if it's done over 11 states and 30 people are being arrested?
Oh, yeah, nationwide.
I mean, this is not something that you were saying this to me before the show. This is not something you snap your fingers and it just appears, right?
No, you don't.
So I just want to point that out.
For this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families. And you'll hear more about those details today. The charges and the arrests that were taken down across this country range from wire fraud, money laundering, extortion, robbery, illegal gambling. This FBI will leave no room for any perpetrator of crime across this country. You hear a lot about our work of defending the homeland and crushing violent crime. Well, this work is also representative of a colossal portion of the FBI's mandate to keep America safe and to keep our entertainment industry fair and secure. The men and women that are standing up here today worked tireless hours, days, months, and years. And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars.
Okay, hard stop right there. Tens of millions of dollars. This is not petty theft or petty fraud we're talking about.
This is almost like Grand Theft Auto right here, it sounds like.
So the FBI caught themselves a good case on their hands.
They reeled in the big one, that's for sure.
I mean, for all these years, for it to last as long as it did. Now, who knows how long they were watching it just to see what they were doing? But tens of millions of dollars. Like, really?
Absolutely insane. I mean, because I think, Nick, that we were speculating before the show this morning that we were probably talking about this being, what, a 4-year operation to catch all these, catch all the suspects?
Yeah, it was confirmed as a 4-year operation that they were working on this situation because they probably didn't have all the proper evidence to officially activate those search warrants that they needed
until recently.
But wow,
fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation, and we could not have done it without our interagency partners that are before us today. The NYPD, HSI, and teams of law enforcement officials from around the country made this day possible. It takes a team to bring this kind of justice, sweeping justice, into the halls of the United States courtrooms, where our brave United States attorney has led this prosecution. It takes courageous prosecutors to stand before you and say, we will not allow this kind of illicit activity to happen, not only at the national sporting level, but also where it hides in La Casa Nostra. And when these two collided together, they perpetrated a fraud that is historic in terms of not just money, but the scheme and the deceit that they utilize to steal and swindle people from money, to include crypto fraud. This is an operation that showcases to you that under President Trump's administration, there is no room for any type of criminal behavior, be it on the world's largest stage or in the back rooms of tiny parlors where card games are being played. We are proud to stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team.
Good.
So we're not just talking about, Nick, per Mr. Patel's commentary here from Manhattan this morning. We're not just talking about sports betting, poker games. If Mr. Patel's commentary is in fact true, Nick, we're even talking about going into the cryptoverse now with fraud.
Well,
this story is just unbelievable.
I mean, that's not surprising because crypto is one of the more frauded currencies out there. This is an international scandal that we're talking about here.
Not just the 11 states here. I'm sure, Nick, that they had, some outside ventures too, down in the Caribbean, maybe in Europe somewhere,
Bahamas.
in Asia somewhere, Bahamas. Because I think we heard, though, too, Nick, that you had told me, we'll get to this still with the 18-part tweet, though, that lays out the whole entire thing of this story, that we're talking about games being played in Vegas, Manhattan, Miami, the Hamptons, like all those places.
Manhattan. Yeah. A lot of these schemes, they have to spread them out, because if they do it all in one spot, it makes it
too damn obvious.
It makes them a target if they do it only in
it's too obvious.
Right. So that's kind of why it ended up spread out in the Hamptons and Manhattan and Miami and
Vegas.
Vegas. So that's why it's becoming an 11-state scheme, because they spread it out so that all the money is not found in one place.
And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it. But we don't shy away in this administration. We don't say no. What we do is we bring the results across the finish line. We bring them to the public. We bring you accountability. And yes, they will have their day in court, and you will hear the evidence through the court system exclusively. We will not deny anyone of due process. And that's the brilliance of this system. That's the brilliance of this administration. Everyone will be held to account. So with that, I turn to...
So that's FBI Director Patel. Now, there is other information which I can pull as well. So we heard from one of the other FBI officials, and I'm going to pull that up briefly so we could hear that too, because this FBI... Okay.
Yeah, before you do, I mean, I think Patel's commentary at the end kind of in a way ties into, the current administration, obviously. But I don't think, though, that anyone's going to have any blowback with what they've done here, Nick, because in a way, they're trying to uphold the values, though, of what we always talk about, Nick, integrity of the game. So they might get blowback about other things that we don't discuss on this program involving, the P word. I think, though, that Patel's right here. If they get blowback for this, then it's stupid, because they literally, Nick, have taken 30 people that were either rigged sporting events in some way on the biggest stage there is in the National Basketball Association, and happened to topple over a Hall of Fame coach and player, more so Hall of Fame player, in Billups, and obviously a player who already had like a bit of a strike, lingering on him from 2 years ago. So I think Patel's actually not going to get blowback here. At least for me, he's not going to, because you literally right now are doing what you would hope that leagues would do: protect the integrity of the game.
You would think that they would protect. And first of all, tens of millions of dollars illegally taken out of circulation, which was being done. Crypto scamming going on, which is a huge problem in this country. I mean, heck, my mom and I both got texts yesterday about stupid crypto schemes. And I know they're fake because it has plus whatever two numbers in front of it. That's international. That's a scam. So, and crypto scams and a lot of the scams picked up just after COVID, where people were getting scammed because they didn't know what was real and what was not, because they weren't leaving their houses. So you wouldn't know what's real and what's not. So scamming is up twofold, because people can't tell the difference anymore between what's real and what's fake. That's why I tell people all the time, read the number that's coming in when you see it. On emails, a lot of times when they say, oh, it's Chase Bank or it's Citibank or whatever bank, look at the email. A lot of times it looks real until you get to the very end and they put like dopey letters and numbers at the end of it. You have to pay attention. If it has that dopey stuff at the end of it, it's fake. So scamming is more than ever. But I want you to hear this. Now, I was telling you about
Let's move on.
The technology scandal of this, and you're not going to believe this. So, if I can clear my voice. So, this is another FBI official here. You and I were making faces when I told you about the technology. Well, here's the actual explanation of the technology.
Now, I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case.
So, by the way, can you stop real quick, Nick? I believe that the poker game scheme, so this is the one, folks, that is linked to Chauncey Billups. For those
Correct.
that are wondering.
Yeah, this is the Chauncey Billups scandal, which involved because people wanted to play with former or current athletes in a poker game, which is really stupid, by the way, if you ask me. But let's take a listen.
The defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards.
Okay. Hard stop right there.
Yep.
Okay. They wanted to play with former athletes. They were called face cards. They had code words for everything.
Gee, that if that doesn't already like ring a alarm bell, Nick, or raise a red flag, I don't know what else would.
I mean, really? Like, they basically were using, and I hate to use this term because we're going to use it later. Wouldn't this technically be NIL, name, image, likeness, in a sense, to get people to gamble money?
I mean, pretty much.
So, this is only the front part of it. When you hear this next part, you're going to go wild.
The so-called face cards included the defendant, Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay, hold on. Fleeced. So Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and company fleecing victims out of
man.
hundreds of thousands up to tens of millions from these people who wanted to play poker games with these former athletes and mafia bosses.
Before we move on, Nick, and I think I brought this up to you in the pre-show today in the preview room. Can we make any direct link or a link of some type to the story we talked about on here a few months ago involving playback host Gilbert Arenas with his poker games?
Right. And the answer I gave you was I think it's different.
Yes.
Because Gilbert was just playing games with shady people at his house. It's not against the law to have a poker game at your house. What is illegal, though, is you can't have a rake at your house. Now, in case people don't know what a rake is, like if you go to a big casino and you play in a poker tournament, or they'll take a rake because that helps to pay the casino and the workers and all that stuff. That's legal. In a casino, that's legal. In a home game, that's illegal unless you have a license for gambling. So you can't do that. But I would say that situation is very different because that was a personal-ish home game, even though it was kind of weird that they were providing like massage services and a personal chef and drinks and all that stuff. That was a little odd.
Yes.
But it's not illegal to play poker in your house. This was an illegal gambling operation. That was, I think, what they had. That was just a gambling probe with Gilbert Arenas. So they both did some shady things. Let's not put lipstick on a pig.
Absolutely.
But this is much wider. 11 states, probably some countries involved, which we haven't heard yet.
Crypto being involved. Trying to use the name and likeness of former players and current players. But I digress. Yes.
Per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone back to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback. The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the
I mean,
What
Oh.
the hey?
this is what I was starting to tell Callan before the show. That
What in the Casino Royale is going on here?
this is like secret agent FBI movie shit going
James
on.
Bond, you name it.
I mean, contact lens technology that could read the backs of cards, glasses that could read the backs of cards.
I mean, I was just saying, are they using the Ray-Ban Meta glasses?
Which I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that was just like a spoof for like secret agent movies, but apparently it's real. I mean,
What in the Men in Black and James Bond's going on here?
I mean, the poker chip trays that were reading cards. First of all, I didn't even know that was a thing. Shufflers being muffled.
You can buy a shuffler in Vegas, or you can buy a shuffler at like the magic shop.
Anyone could rig a shuffler. I wouldn't suggest it because you'll end up in federal crimes. But like anyone could rig a shuffler, to be quite honest. The other stuff, though, is just insane.
It's something out of a secret agent movie.
Now, we could read the 18-line items if you want.
We got time for the first hour. Let's hear it.
So, I don't know. Should I put this up on screen so people can see it or no?
Your discretion.
All right, I'm going to put this up just so you can see this because I got to give Joe a lot of credit. Joe Papolino, he really did a good job on this.
Holy cow.
So, this is broken down. I'm just going to scroll down quickly. 18 items. Now, we talked about some of this already, but he breaks it down in a way like to show timeline and all that stuff. So obviously we talked about the first one. Current and former NBA players and coaches, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones have been arrested. That's confirmed. That happened. Illegal gambling and sports rigging operation across 11 states.
Okay.
In total, 30 individuals have been arrested, 13 mafia members. Now, you and I started talking about the La Cosa Nostra. That's the mafia family, or the Italian mafia that was involved. Charges include illegal gambling, wire fraud, and extortion. It's every bad word in the book that's involved with gambling. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
2 separate indictments, which Patel mentioned and the other FBI member mentioned. The first involves 6 defendants accused of participating in sports corruption scheme and exploited insider information involving NBA players and teams. Defendants leveraged their connections to place prop bets, winning tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The second indictment involved 31 defendants. Now, there is some crossover between the two, and I think Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier were involved, possibly on both sides of it. We talked about the technology. The FBI says that NBA player Terry Rozier told the defendants that he was going to leave a game. He admitted it.
Where Jonte Porter didn't do so when he was eventually suspended, investigated, then popped for the lifetime ban with the Raptors.
Right. The FBI says that former Raptors player Jonte Porter was threatened to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. Now, when I shared that information to you the first time, your eyes almost bugged out of your head. Like, does that mean he was technically connected to this same mafia?
You would think so. If as I said, though, earlier in the show, that, again, Jonte was making wagers on himself or then telling, friends of his to wager on him. Um, when he was with the Raptors, he was making bets too on the Raptors or on the NBA while he was in the NBA G League. The story of the head of the operation getting popped at the airport, holding thousands of dollars in cash, a multi-$1,000 cashier's check, and he gets arrested at the gate before going on a transit, on a flight to Australia, or wherever he was going. That in a way is only part of the layer, Nick. Now you wonder if more comes out of it now with this operation we're talking about here today.
Now, we did talk about this also. Now, this next line item, the ninth line item, which you and I discussed, teams that were bet on during the sports gambling scheme include the Hornets, which obviously Rozier was on, Trailblazers, Rozier was on, and Jonte, I think, was on
and
there too. Lakers. Too. I don't know where the Lakers are involved in this scenario.
I don't know, but I wonder though if Portland being linked those because Billups was coaching them, and who knows what was going on behind the scenes there.
Well, I think Jonte and Rozier were on Portland at one point.
Yeah, I think they were too, but I mainly just because it's so fresh that I'm just thinking Blazers
Chauncey.
Means Chauncey.
Yeah, the Lakers. I don't know where the Lakers connection comes in here, but the Raptors obviously because of Jonte also. So 4 out of let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 out of the 4 makes sense. I don't know where the Lakers connection fits there, but and then the rigged poker games occurred in the Hamptons, Miami, Las Vegas, and Manhattan. Now, I said this before. They would be dumb to do this in one location because they would get found out if they were in one location, and also they're not going to rig all the money and put it in one place because they don't want to lose it. So right. I don't know. This thing just gets weirder and weirder. And then like they mentioned the quarterback, which your face when they said that the quarterback was the one who was relaying the information back to the table from the technology. I mean, like
red 88, hut, hike.
Exactly. I mean, and then the other ones which they didn't mention. Line item 14. The FBI says that the defendants robbed a victim at gunpoint to acquire a rigged shuffling machine. At gunpoint?
Time out, Nick. Got a quick update about why the Lakers are linked. Now, I cannot really confirm nor deny this, but 4 different sources, including CBS Sports, Yahoo, USA Today, Newsweek, and the Desert Sun newspaper, the Lakers apparently were linked to this. Now, again, I don't take the word for it here, but this is what I've been able to gather.
Okay.
It's not really giving me a whole lot, but apparently the Lakers, led by LeBron James, were not directly involved in the illegal betting activities, but were targeted by wagers.
I did see a tweet earlier today that apparently, like, LeBron was indirectly involved somehow. Now, there's no confirmation of that currently.
No, other than just the fact that the Lakers are linked in some way. CNBC, though, Nick, within the last half hour, apparently states in the headline from Dan Magnin, who writes for CNBC, LeBron James's injury information leaked to bettors, NBA gambling indictment suggests.
All right, but that's not really a confirmation.
It still isn't much of a confirmation of it. So right now, it's where the Lakers are linked in some way is maybe LeBron's injury information is being now kind of thrown into the fray here.
I mean, then it just gets even more ridiculous. So first of all, gunpoint for a shuffling machine. Like, hello, are we that desperate? Like,
yes.
The sports gambling operation, you and I had a chuckle about this. The sports gambling investigation is called Operation Nothing But Net.
So original.
Well, they do say that crime people are not exactly the smartest people in the world. While the poker investigation was called Operation Royal Flush.
Nick, looking through The Athletic, because their live breaking news team is on the story. We have a quote from Nick Friedel, who writes for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Al Horford, who was a teammate of Rozier's, I believe, in Charlotte. had given a 3-paragraph answer when asked about this or about today's arrest. Again, folks, we're monitoring the developing story and breaking news today, again, of Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, and 28 others being arrested in connection to both illegal poker games and illegal sports betting. Al Horford, Nick, said in part to The Athletic, it's something that I'm sure that there's more information that will need to come out. You'll have to wait and see. You're given a chance and just have to wait it out, but definitely just have to wait for an outcome there. I don't want to jump to any conclusions right away. Horford added that he has noticed a difference in how fans interact with the game as betting and advertisements for betting have grown within the league, saying in part it looks very aggressive at times. And I understand that we are professional athletes and this is the world we're in and everything else. But I think that the league itself has to step in and probably do more to protect the players and to be better. All this comes with it. It's the fan engagement, but also there's the other part to it. It's a very interesting time because it is the first time that as a league and as a society, we're all living and going through this. So there's a lot of things that I'm sure we will be worked out and that will be better, but that kind of comes with the territory and something that you just have to deal with right now, open and close quoting. And that was Al Horford when asked by Warriors beat writer for The Athletic and New York Times, Nick Friedel, about today's arrest. Again, Nick, we say this a lot that we have to bring up wagering in sports, though, is that this is sadly the new happy-go medium. Athletes are now the targets when degenerate gamblers lose their parlays or lose bets. It's not even about the game now, Nick, or about my team won or lost. Oh, Horford didn't get that last rebound. It's on him that I lost my money tonight, not the Warriors winning the game over the Lakers.
And that's the problem here, where it's no longer about I'm rooting for my team,
No,
or
it's not. And you know what? It's flat out sickening that that's where we're at nowadays.
Now, let me be clear about one thing. Like when we play the games, we're doing it because we're having fun with the partnership we're doing, like with Novik. I'm not going to go lose sleep over like us just having fun.
And the other disclaimer I will use, we're not using our actual money out of our bank account for it. We do it though when we sign up.
Yeah.
But you can also, as we always say, you can trade or play the Novik coins, not the cash, where the coins more lets you practice, get your skills up, where you're not risking losing money out of your paycheck and out of your bank account.
Now, full disclosure, you could do whatever you want. We tell you to sign up and you get a promo code and you get, like when we say you put $5 of your actual money and you get $50 of bonus to play. That's like any other app. You go to DraftKings and FanDuel and all that stuff. If you play $10, you bet $5 and then they'll give you $300 of bonus to play. That's all.
If you win.
If you win. Now, Novik doesn't do that. They give you put the $5 and you get $50 regardless. But my point is, gambling is becoming a problem for a lot of people. I mean, look what happened. What was it with the White Sox that we did? Who was it again?
Was it the Shoeless Joe story from way back in the day?
No. I'm not the White Sox. The Arizona player. Remember the player's mother got
Ketel Marte, yes,
all over because of, I think, gambling parlays or whatever, and you threaten a guy's mother for crying out loud over gambling. I mean,
which, by the way, it went to like the Leggett story from last week where Ketel Marte's mom had already been deceased.
Right, and like, come on, like it's not worth all that bullshit too.
By the way, Nick, one more thing here. I'm keeping an eye on this developing on the Athletic side because, again, their live team is in action. Within the last half hour, Rob Peterson, senior editor for the NBA for the Athletic, gave some more reaction in a way to the NBA's gambling partnerships from a player poll done this past April. 46% of the 150 unnamed respondents noted that the NBA's gambling partnerships, Nick, were bad. Players noted how easy access to gambling has put more scrutiny on their performances and at times also turned to be threatening behaviors. We said, Nick, I believe both Rick Carlisle and Tyrese Halliburton, and I want to say, I don't know if it was Donovan Mitchell, but a player on the Cavaliers even said, this is getting out of control. We got to stop.
Okay, so I have a twofold answer to that. One is I don't think they're wrong, because there's way too much gambling promos out there, whether it's radio, whether it's TV, whether forget it, on digital, on Twitter and TikTok and Instagram alone, I see way more gambling ads than I've ever seen being on social media. But how about showing some self-control and just not doing it? Like, I get it. As athletes and who play ball, like, is there more easy access to it? Yes, but the NBA, and for lack of better, like MLB, NFL, NHL, all leagues, soccer, whatever you want to include. You know the best way to fix this situation is zero tolerance policy.
You're caught, you're out. Simple as that.
If you made it a zero tolerance policy saying, I could give two shits about whether you like gambling or not, and all the leagues need to say, it's not just the league you're in. No gambling. No gambling. Off season or in season. No gambling.
I don't care if you're wagering on a different sport. None of that. None of it.
Because think about the amount of illegal shit that would go away if you just had a zero tolerance policy that if you get caught, you're banned from the league and you can't be there anymore. Now, you run into a murky territory when it comes to, like, say someone that's in your team who's technically not an athlete is gambling. Does that get traced back to you? And when I say that, I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani and his former interpreter, who took what, 18 million from him, essentially.
$17 million from him, yeah.
And they kept trying to trace that back to Shohei, saying, "Oh, he was the one making the bets, not Mazahara." Like, that's the issue you're going to run into. But I think that you should just make it a zero tolerance policy where there's no gambling allowed to any athletes. Of course, then you're going to get some of these athletes that are going to sue and say that their freedom, their rights and their freedom of expression is being violated. Really? Like, is it worth gambling whatever you're going to gamble based on the millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is still higher than the average person makes a year in whatever job they do? Is it worth gambling the petty money it is to just lose everything being a professional athlete?
Yes.
This is like blasphemy. Yes, to steal a Stephen A term right there. Like, it's not worth it. It's really not. And by the way, most people don't think of gambling from this perspective. What is the average person's financial situation when they gamble?
Risking it all?
Well, no. I'm talking about, like, their financial situation.
Usually in pro sports, it's probably trying to pay off debt.
No, but I'm talking about the average person. The average person who is a gambler usually does not have the money to gamble.
Right.
Most of the time, it's someone who overdoes it, and then they put themselves more in debt.
Correct.
Because of it. Now, I think the other dangerous precedent here is that athletes have hundreds of thousands, millions. So sometimes these athletes, where they don't know they have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. That's how, and we talked about, like, Antoine Walker and Allen Iverson, who ended up bankrupt because they just didn't know what to do, whether they were bored or didn't know what to do with their money.
Correct.
Couldn't you see this being like the next situation that's going to cause athletes to go bankrupt?
I mean, how do you not? You know what I mean? How do you not?
So, just to finish up some of these line items as we come up on the top of the hour, the FBI has been working on this investigation for 4 years, with victims losing at least $7 million. Now, I agree with you, what you said before. I thought that number would have been higher.
Only $7 million is a little bit of a shock.
Now, $7 million is a lot of money. Let's make sure we say that.
Yeah.
But one specific victim lost at least $1.8 million. That's a lot of money for one person to lose.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI reviewed thousands of hours of video evidence and executed more than 24 search warrants. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Joe makes a good point. These are just accusations at this point. And he's just pointing out details from the FBI's investigation. But holy cow. Like, this story is something. Because, like, how are we supposed to react to this? Because another giant scandal hits the NBA.
More importantly, Nick, it hits, though, 3 days into the regular season.
Which tells me that this has been going on way beforehand.
And if FBI Director Patel is correct, though, I mean, we're talking about 4 to 6 years maybe of just surveillancing, watching all this go down in real time, and then it finally came to a head this morning.
Now, we've just been talking about the gambling probe side of this.
Yeah, what about the poker side of this whole thing?
Well, that, but I'm saying Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier being part of the NBA. Chauncey's probably going to do some time, and Terry's probably going to do some time, if I had to take a guess.
Which also leads me to the other developing story that former Spur Thiago Splitter has now been named the interim head coach with the with Chauncey Billups now being placed on leave. Who knows about Terry Rozier? Nick, before we get to the top of the hour, this was the kind of a telling sign in the post-game presser last night.
I have it, actually.
Involving Chauncey Billups after the Blazers lost to Minnesota 118-114.
Yeah, wait. I have it right here. Hold on. Because you and I can laugh at this now partially, but even though, let's be clear about that, this is a very serious situation. Number one. So we're not making light of it, but when we heard this, we were like, doesn't that lead to a tinge of irony? All right, so let's grab the stupidity of Chauncey Billups here. This is a 9-second clip, but it tells it all.
No, you know, I don't. That pressure thing is nothing to me, man. I do the best I can and let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
Where the chips fall where they may.
Look at all the failure.
I mean, did he kind of just give himself away right there partially?
I mean, it sure seems that way.
I mean, come on, man. You made it easy for them. Now, they probably had all the evidence, but that was like hook, line, and sinker right there. Just like, oh, let me just give them more of a reference to show that I'm gambling illegally.
I mean, you know, it's bad if my dog was barking about Chauncey's line right there.
Oh, this is interesting. So Chris Mannix, who works for SI, by the way, dropped it looks like a testimony document.
Oh boy.
And he writes, per the indictment, Damon Jones allegedly revealed information about a prominent player Jones has played or coached with missing a Lakers-Bucks game in 2023. LeBron James, who Jones played with and coached in Cleveland, sat out the game.
That goes to the earlier story. I said that why the Lakers are linked in some way to this story.
This is like, I feel like we keep opening doors and keep finding more information.
You know, if memory serves me correct, that may have been. Now, I don't know what the rules are about preseason, Nick, but I recall, though, on an old network I was on, we talked about LeBron sitting out a game against Milwaukee in 2023, but it was a preseason game.
So preseason is treated a little differently than the regular season.
If that was a regular season game, then by all means, it's fair game. But if it's the preseason, I don't really know.
Like I said, the preseason, they're not going to batten down on the players because they want to make sure they're there for the regular season when the games count. Now, if you remember the San Antonio-Miami Heat game that was on TNT, where San Antonio sat Duncan and Ginobili and Parker, they ended up getting fined $250,000 because it was a national TV game. Now, Pop claimed that it was a rest game, which it could have been.
That was before, though, we knew what load management really was, though, at that time.
But I think the NBA was pissed because that was a national game and they don't have 3 of the top players on their roster. Now, I'm not saying this is the same thing, but it's a little damning that Damon Jones. Now, if that's the case, this is when Damon Jones and LeBron were together on the Miami Heat, if I remember correctly.
Or if Damon Jones was in Cleveland when LeBron came back the second time.
Yeah, he went all places that LeBron went. But wow, like I feel like I just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and finding more on the list. Oh God, what is this? ESPN Stephen A. Smith says the NBA game rigging mafia linked scandal uncovered by the FBI is President Trump's revenge. Says this is only the beginning. Don't be surprised that the WNBA is next on the list.
They're going to be locked out in 8 days anyway. Nick, before we get we're up at the top of the hour. There is another quick update from Rob Peterson once more. Some players, again, they're kind of in a way going back to April of this year when they had a anonymous poll done about how players feel about wagering and stuff. This went to a point from Rob Peterson though, in about Tyrese Halliburton when he was asked in March of last year by James Boyd of The Athletic about wagering in the NBA. And Tyrese said, though, to half the world, I'm just helping them make money on DraftKings or whatever. I'm a prop. You know what I mean? That's what my social media mostly consists of, open and close quote, where again, we've heard, players have gotten death threats, Nick, hey, I'm you're, this and that about, your kids, your wife, all this. It's like, that's one thing. And that's, again, that was from Tyrese Halliburton back in April of last year. Nick, before we actually get to our actual show now, again, we spent the whole hour on the, we will, though, folks, keep an eye, though, on what more comes out of us, though. We'll kind of intrude on the program. As again, I have the Athletic story that's being lively updated right now by their NBA writers involving the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier arrest made early this morning. But Nick, how about some love for playback today here to kick off the show where once more, again, Nick, NBA season is in fact underway. We've already had a couple of nights of games. Again, we did the NBA and NBC relaunch on Tuesday. We had double OT. We had the Warriors beat the Lakers. You had a solo night last night and just enjoying Victor Wembanyama have a field day with Cooper Flagg and the Mavericks last night. But again, how about some love for playback today? And more importantly, as the NBA is back in full swing.
Be good if I had the reads. Actually, so I'm trying to look for those. Basically, playback.tv/ETB network. Go check us out. We have MLB World Series coming up, which is going to interlude with NBA on Amazon Prime later tomorrow. So we will have NBA games. We'll have the Amazon Prime doubleheader. We will have a ton of NBA games coming up this season. World Series, as I said. What else do we have coming? We won't have the WNBA at this rate if there's a lockout. But make sure you tune in. Come join our network, or our community. Playback.tv/ETB network. Check us out. It's free to join. Let me say that again. FREE. Free. So playback.tv/ETB network and join in on our community and come watch live sports.
All right, Nick, into the actual show here. Again, folks, if more news does break about the ongoing situation with the Billups and Rozier arrest, we will bring it to you in its full entirety. Nick, in massive media news earlier this week, Cumulus Media, a.k.a. Westwood One, and the Odyssey Corporation announced on Tuesday that Odyssey's Infinity Sports Network will be rebranded as Westwood One Sports effective December 29th of this year. The move will consolidate 24/7 national sports audio underneath the Westwood One branding. Westwood One will further assume programming and distribution for the majority of the lineup, including the Jim Rome Show. And also, crucially, Odyssey will continue to produce popular BetMGM network programs like You Better Bet and BetMGM Tonight, with BetMGM remaining the exclusive sports book partner. The goal right now is to create unmatched scale, premium inventory, and also integrated sponsorship opportunities for advertisers across broadcast, streaming, and podcast platform, centralizing the high-value sportsbook ad dollars. So, Nick, this is easily one of the most massive consolidation right now. Does it signal, though, Nick, a win for the traditional broadcast radio in the face of podcast and digital sports audio growth, by creating a single advertising giant, or is it merely a strategic move to secure the high-value sportsbook ad dollars that are keeping sports audio afloat, mainly on radio? What do you think?
So I wouldn't say this was a win for the traditional broadcast radio
Not at all.
because Infinity Sports Network was its own network. BetMGM Network was its own arm,
Entity. Yeah.
own entity under Odyssey. And well, Infinity Sports Network was also the Odyssey's sports national radio network.
And if memory serves me correct, too, Nick, it was CBS Sports Radio.
Correct. When I went there and I for a couple of weeks until I learned the pay was shitty. I was there at WFAN, and that's where the national network is housed. That's where they do all the work that's involved. And I actually was training to be a board op for one of the national shows when I was there. There's no money to be made in board op or radio really anymore. That's why I'm assuming they probably were going away from Infinity Sports Network and rebranding to Westwood One Sports. Now, Westwood One Sports already exists. They do the NFL, they do MLB, they do some NBA, some college football, college basketball. They already do. They're the syndicator for all the different radio sides for sports. So that's already happening. What I get out of this announcement is that they're going away from some of the radio.
Yes.
Like national sports talk. And so the Jim Rome show used to be on CBS Sports Radio, Infinity Sports Network, and they moved that over to Westwood One. So that show is exclusively being distributed by Westwood One. It's no longer on Odyssey or Infinity Sports Network. And originally it was airing from noon to 3 Eastern. It's now airing 3 to 7 Eastern on Westwood One Sports affiliates all. And that also opens it up because Westwood One affiliates to all different other affiliations, not just Odyssey. But this just sounds to me like they're consolidating, getting rid of radio, and they don't really want to deal with it, which is probably the right move in this scenario. I mean, you and I love radio more than anything, but unfortunately, it's just not making the money that's necessitating this move to get away from it. And podcasting is where the money is. Now, BetMGM Network had programming that was on Infinity Sports Network.
Wasn't that the Vegas Sports Inside Network or VSIN or am I thinking of something else?
So VSiN was part of Sirius, but now it's on its own.
Gotcha.
It used to have a different name before BetMGM, and I can't remember the name of it. But BetMGM was the sponsor of this betting network.
Yes. Okay.
And then they took it over and they rebranded it to BetMGM Network. That's why you see like You Better You Bet or BetMGM Tonight. They literally bought the rights to the network, and now they're doing all the shows. And those would sometimes air on Infinity Sports Network on the weekend network programming side. Rome's show was also on BetMGM's network as well as Infinity Sports Network and now Westwood One. So this is a lot of what they call consolidation. Uh-oh. What?
We have a statement that's been released by the Portland Trail Blazers, Nick.
Okay.
Rob Peterson, the senior, again, folks, as I said, again, we will be breaking in occasionally if there's any updates regarding the ongoing story of the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier arrest made today in that gambling probe. Very much a brief statement from the Trailblazers released within the last 2 minutes of gameplay here. The team in a statement says that we are aware of the allegations involving head coach Chauncey Billups, and the Trailblazers are fully cooperating with the investigation. Billups has been placed on immediate leave, and Tiago Splitter will assume head coaching duties in the interim. The Blazers will have no further comment, and any further questions should be directed to the NBA, not to the franchise.
They're basically saying that this is the last thing we're saying about it.
Yeah, they'll have no comment. Getting back though, Nick, on track again. As I said, though, folks, if in fact something does any news comes out, again, we'll keep you folks posted on that story as the show goes on here this afternoon. Nick, I went and checked Odyssey's branding here locally in San Diego. They currently operate, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different stations here on the local FM frequency.
That's a lot.
They have an alt rock station, country station, sports station, classic hits, Channel Q, and a adult contemporary station, all here in San Diego. That includes the Padres flagship station of 97.3, the Fan KWFN. Of course, Nick, when I hear this, though, I get mortified by a word that starts with the letter L, called layoffs.
Oh, layoffs. Yeah.
Because we already, Nick, have, in a way, courtesy of Jason Barrett Media, have already seen the iHeart fallout recently, where it's been, mainly with, music. Sean Salisbury, longtime ESPN NFL reporter, lost his morning show on AM 790 in Houston, for example, after 8 years of operation. I always get, Nick, a little concerned, though, when we hear about mergers or layoffs taking place. I believe WRNW in Milwaukee, I happen to know it off the top of my head, is my good friend DJ Shiner Nichols of the Milwaukee Bucks. When it was a top 40 ED or radio, top 40 music station, she had a 4-hour set every Saturday night. I would tune in on the iHeart Radio app or on my computer. I'd be up doing crap for work and would just listen to her music and vibe out and have a good time. And then obviously that station went from music to sports. Now the Packers are losing their flagship radio station, Nick, in the middle of the football season. So I get concerned mainly when formats change, when this stuff happens, and more importantly, when good people in the industry who are not making the money they probably should be making in the industry now lose their job after either 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or 30 years behind the mic or behind the board.
So I was reading about that story in Green Bay. Did they lose their station or did they just... I think because a lot of times when those things happen, when they flip the format, the team deal stays in place for the team to stay on the station because that's a deal.
As far as I know of, I think I saw the format was going to flip, but then it also in a way like worried me, like what's going on here when we're in the middle of a season. This is happening now.
Yeah. So my guess is that they're not just going to kick them off the station. They're just changing the format, but they keep the rights because that's a deal with the station. Or a national network, even though it's a local affiliate. So they're not going to just kick the team off the air. So I think that's probably more what happened. But this story just rocked everywhere. And by the way, I looked it up. It was BetQL was the
That's
name.
what it was. Yes, thank you.
And then BetMGM bought it out name rights wise and changed it. But I happen to know who a lot of these people are. Like from BetMGM, because I've met some of these people before. Because a lot of the operations are either done out of 345 Hudson Street in New York, which is where I worked for a few weeks, or it's done out of Vegas or LA. So a lot of layoffs have already happened at Odyssey already over the last couple of years. But what's interesting is there was an update done to the story. The initial press release didn't mention what the future plans are for Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, who do the morning show, Zach Gelb, who does the afternoon drive show, and other talent who are currently making up Infinity's lineup. So
I went to my point about layoffs.
But if you look at the release, they're telling you that Infinity is going away.
Yeah.
So unless they're going to move those shows to Westwood One, and that's going to become part of Westwood One Sports, which I doubt they're going to take on every single show that Odyssey had. That doesn't make any sense. At least I don't, unless this is just a branding exercise where they're saying, okay, it's no longer going to be Infinity Sports Network under Odyssey's umbrella, but we're now going to, it'll become like a licensee scenario where they have the shows, but it's under Westwood One distribution completely, rather than just saying, oh, well, it's being run by Odyssey, but we're syndicating it. Let's just do it under one
One umbrella.
Let's eliminate the middleman that has to first distribute a show. Now, I know this too well because the show that I worked on that was nationally syndicated was a Westwood One distributed show. So we would call them before the show. We'd had to send them our what do they call it, test tones, so that they could pick us up, and they were ready for us. When I would hit the brakes, now it's different in syndication than it is in local, because on local radio you would hit your button and go to break. On national radio, you're sending tones, and then what happens is it depends on the show. Either if it's a 4-minute break, sometimes network shows send 2 minutes of network spots that are built into a list pre-planned already, or like the Mark Levin show was done out of our building where I did the same show. That was another show that was done. It was the earlier show before us. They didn't run any of the breaks whatsoever. Well, what I mean by that is, they would hit the button to send the tones to Westwood One, but they had a 4-minute countdown clock only on their side, meaning that they didn't have to listen to the spots. The spots were fired from Westwood One, and they would get sent to all the affiliates, and whoever was running the network board, it would count down 4 minutes, and then the sweeper coming back was already in there, meaning that once 4 minutes was up, it perfectly timed in to hit the rejoined sweeper. Now, for our show, we did not do that. I literally had to do everything, and then they would still rejoin it for the affiliates, but we had 2 minutes of spots built in on each break, and then for the final 2 minutes was what they considered local affiliation. So we then had a 2-minute clock instead of a 4-minute clock.
Yeah.
That would say, okay, network spots are over, wait 2 minutes now, and then rejoin at the end. So it all depends how the operation is being run. I don't know how. It's interesting because I didn't see this last paragraph from the Barrett media story. They must have updated this.
They had to have, it sounds like, yeah.
So if they're saying that they have no idea where these hosts and where these shows are going to go, that tells me that they're probably not going to carry them anymore, or they're not going to have those shows.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, but this is what we're seeing in radio, though, now. Like, I never thought I'd see the day that national radio was going to take a hit, because national radio feeds all the local affiliates. There are more stations around the country and around the world that are using syndicated programming more than local programming in that regard.
Agreed.
So, and I'm looking around quickly just to see if anyone has any other updates, but the BetMGM shows you were talking about.
Yes.
So You Better You Bet, that's 9 a.m. to 12. Now I think they originally treated that as radio.
I feel like they usually did, because I remember being in Vegas one year and the VSIN or BetQL stage or studio.
BetQL.
They were smack dab in the middle of the South Point Hotel, I think, doing programs there. And I think maybe remember them more mainly, Nick, probably on the weekends in the mornings doing programming.
Well, yeah, because BetMGM was pretty much weekend. Yeah. They didn't do a lot of stuff during the week. They would do digital live streams during the week, but it was never on radio. But here's the crazy thing. So You Better You Bet, 9 a.m. to 12. That's a 3-hour program.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to get at. BetMGM tonight was 6 to 11 p.m. Eastern.
5-hour window?
Yeah. Now, BetMGM tonight doesn't have a name on it, so that's probably 3 to 4 people hosting a 5-hour show, which in the scheme of things is actually not bad.
Having a shift change every 2 hours, maybe, or
well, no, they just had 4 people or 5 people hosting it, so 5 hours in that scheme of things doesn't seem horrible, because at least you can conversate with 4 or 5 people. And remember, and people forget this, when they see a 3-hour or a 4-hour show, they don't realize that it's not actually 3 hours, 4 hours. People forget that.
You got to factor in commercial time.
And top of the hours and all that stuff. So most network shows don't start until 5 minutes after the hour.
Right.
Also. So people say, oh my God, it's 4 hours a day. It's 5 hours a day. It's 4 hours of total sit time or 5 hours of total sit time. But what people don't remember is if shows start 5 after the hour, and a lot of times for network, they end at like 56, 57.
Right.
So it's not full hours. And then you have to fixate on the commercials and all that stuff. So it's 5 hours of sit time, but it's really not 5 hours of doing a show.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be interesting to see what happens with the Infinity Sports Network shows if they just say, we're done. Now, could they take those people and maybe add them to the BetMGM side? Because they're still going to have that. You might see a lot of those hosts go there, but they're not gambling people.
No, they're not.
Or at least not all of them are. Some of them do sports betting and stuff on shows, but it's not like these two shows, You Better You Bet or BetMGM Tonight, which they're not going to get rid of because they have naming rights sponsors on them.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not going to lose that money, that's for sure.
So, like, this is a big deal. Like, a huge deal. Because now layoffs are going to happen. People are going to lose their jobs. Like, it discourages me as someone who's worked in the business for a while. Like, that's why, like, everyone's fighting for jobs. I apply for jobs every day. And it's like rejection central, nonstop. And the problem is, it's not even because, like, maybe I'm not qualified. It's because there's hundreds of thousands of other people who have more experience than me that originally were holding the higher jobs, and they're now taking the lower jobs because that's all they can get.
Right.
So this is a big deal. I don't know. When we get the actual update, when we hear what happens with the Infinity lineup, we'll tell you more. But this is significant in a lot of ways.
By the way, Nick, sidebar, I've had NBA TV on for the last hour. No mention of what happened today whatsoever. No bottom line, no breaking news story. They're just airing Run It Back right now with Beetle, Parsons, and Lou Will.
Wait, they're actually airing FanDuel programming?
Yes.
You know why? Because they're not direct affiliation anymore, so they can do whatever they want. But, well, what does that tell you? By the way, that goes back to the irony of gambling being too far involved. What are they doing by airing that program?
FanDuel Sports.
Just saying. Just wanted to point that irony out.
Yeah, but no mention on the bottom line. No breaking news interruption. Nothing on NBA TV.
It doesn't surprise me because they're gonna act like that like while it's going on.
I'll be curious to the top of the hour at 4 o'clock Eastern when NBA Today comes on the air at 1 on NBA TV if they in fact talk about the story though.
I don't even know who's hosting the programming anymore on there.
No idea.
But because it's no longer a Warner Brothers Discovery product anymore.
Couldn't tell you.
So they can air whatever they want. But
exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Now we can get back into some of the more interesting stuff in the world of sports media. But let's move on to First Take. Shall we?
They finally have a new moderator. It'll be Shay Cornett, assuming the new role of the host and moderator of First Take, succeeding former host Molly Curum with her official debut coming up on Monday, November 3rd. Cornett has been a Sports Center anchor since 2020 and has served as a frequent fill-in host for the ongoing debate show. ESPN executives like David Roberts and Stephen A. Smith praised her, specifically highlighting her meticulous preparation, poise and passion, and her ability to keep the lively debate engaging and on point. Her appointment emphasizes a pivot towards a host known for deeper sports knowledge and journalistic command rather than purely entertainment chops. So, Nick, with Shay's background and the praise for her meticulous approach, can she help maintain the explosive high viewership energy that First Take does thrive on, or does her more controlled style signal an attempt to steer the show towards a slightly more focused sports journalism-driven discussion? I think it's just more importantly, Nick, you got to find someone who wants to babysit Stephen A. Smith for, 3 hours a day?
2, but who's counting? I think this has nothing to do with Cornett. To be
No,
quite honest,
I don't think so
I
either.
like her. She's great. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a perfect, like, since she's done Sports Center and she does all this other stuff. It's not like they're throwing someone into the wolves for to go up against Stephen A. at times. But this has no, I don't think Cornette has anything to do with the direction of the show. Stephen A. Smith is the one who has to do with the direction of the show. Because again, executive producer title on his own show as the host. This is tough because Molly Qerim got railroaded by ESPN big time.
1,000%.
Now, I do have a slight issue with if she walked away and said because she was making reportedly $500,000 a year. I'm sorry, I don't know if I have sympathy partially for that. Was she underpaid? Probably. Because he's making what, 20-something million a year for over 5 years, 100 million over 5 years. Should she be making like 2, 3, 4 million? Probably, if he's making that. Yeah, but I'm not going to cry over the fact that you're making $500,000 a year. Imagine like if someone came to us and said, we'll give you a $500,000 salary a year. Cool. Where do I sign up?
Sign me up, baby.
So that's part of the like weird teeter-totter where you put the weights on each side.
It's a balancing act.
So $500,000 is a lot of money. Like, I get if she feels like she was being undervalued and underappreciated, which she probably was, because she hosted that show better than most and handled that job more than most. But I still think it was bad that her leaving the show got leaked. However that got leaked, it had to be someone from ESPN PR or someone that probably released that to like the Jimmy Trainers of the world or the Andrew Marchans of the world, who we've been trying to get on this show, and hopefully soon we will, because I've been talking to him. Hopefully we'll get him on this show in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, this has nothing to do with Cornette. This has to do with Stephen A. So I would take Cornette out of the equation.
Yeah, I don't think the moderator has, like, it's the old saying about don't shoot the messenger. That's literally all that the moderator on that program does, because it's always going to be about Stephen A. I think this is more of a Stephen A thing than anything else. Where, I mean, like I say, Nick, I don't get up in the morning when the show goes on the air on the West Coast to watch that show or get up. I don't feel like listening to people bitch and moan and argue and scream at the top of their lungs over one bad play in a NFL football game at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time.
Yeah, I don't need to hear, hey, about them Cowboys. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Let's talk about my argument with LeBron James, since we hate each other.
No, I'll let Tom Albano say, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, I like that better. I mean, I don't want to hear Stephen A. bitch and moan, and then he's on Mad Dog Radio and Sirius for another 2 hours every single day, and then he's got a political show once a week on Sirius. Like, dude, enough.
He's got the appearances too on Chris Cuomo's show on News Nation 2 against Bill O'Reilly every week. It seems like too.
Him and his fake ass, like leaving the stage pissed off during the News Nation event. Like, dude, like, enough. Yeah, we get it. You make close to $40 million a year in media. We get it. And then you have your own podcast and your own YouTube channel. And dude, do you ever take a chance like to live life a little? Or is it just work? Money is great, but if you can't do anything with it, does it really matter?
No.
And I'm not a holistic person, like, with money. Like, is it nice to have? Yeah. Is it the end of the world? No.
No, and money can't buy you happiness either, sadly.
Yeah, so I like Shay. I just hope they don't destroy her in the process during that show.
Yeah, it's like I said, Nick. We said this when Molly left the show. It's a thankless position because you're literally for 2 hours a day babysitting Stephen A. Smith for 2 hours
and hoping he doesn't say something insanely stupid. Which, by the way, ESPN won't even get mad at him or reprimand him for anyway.
Yay, we're getting clicks and views. I love it. Woohoo. Say whatever you want, my man. Let's go. Woohoo.
I mean, and it's not just First Take. Then they cut it up and put it on every other ESPN social media platform so they can build those. too. Like,
yeah, let's go. We got more.
I mean,
Just make it stop.
now he's going to be on NFL Countdown certain weeks. Like, Jesus, like, make it stop. Like, enough already. Like, we get it. We know. We know Stephen A is the number one breadwinner at ESPN. We know he makes the most views. We got it. It's enough already.
Can we just get him on Inside the NBA already and just have Chuck body slam him through a table?
I mean, that would make a lot of views, hearing the two of them argue. Listen up, you knucklehead. We're not putting you on this show. Take your scrawny ass and walk out of here.
All right, Nick, let's move on here to our next story. The docuseries nobody asked for, but HBO is set to unveil a 3-part docuseries called Alex versus A-Rod, debuting on Thursday, November 6th, directed by Religion of Sports' Gotham Chopra and Eric Ledrew from the Man in the Arena series featuring Tom Brady on ESPN+. The film will explore the dualities of Alex Rodriguez's controversial baseball career, contrasting Alex, the young prodigy, with A-Rod, the superstar player whose legacy was tarnished by the longest ever PED suspension. The series will feature intimate interviews with A-Rod himself, along with notable figures including Yankee shortstop Derek Jeter, former Mariners center fielder Ken Griffey Jr., one-time Mariner manager Lou Piniella, former CBS journalist Katie Couric, and WFAN's Mike Francesca. The documentary will aim to confront his personal struggles and examine his post-playing career rehab, which includes his successful transition to MLB television analyst. But Nick, given A-Rod's decades-long effort to repair his image, and with the participation of former critics and teammates like Jeter, will this high-profile docuseries be the final step needed in truly rehabilitating A-Rod's image in the eyes of baseball fans, or is his past simply too deep-rooted to overcome fully? I think, Nick, it doesn't matter what you do. Everyone has their thoughts, and it's not going to really repair much after what has happened in the past.
It's too deeply rooted to overcome.
Absolutely.
That's the direct answer here. This is HBO just trying to... This is what they do best. They find controversial sports figures. I think they did this with Brett Favre also at one point. They've done many of these. Like, if they think this is going to make A-Rod look better as a person, I have the lottery numbers and I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn too. Like, first of all, the name is pathetic. Alex versus A-Rod. Like, so you have the guy who was growing up being the young star, and then you have the roid rage PED athlete.
Your favorite Yankee player of all time.
Yeah. But you and I were discussing the list of names that they got as interviews in this series. And the one that stood out to me the most, Derek Jeter.
Who already works with him at Fox.
I get it. But those two, it was highlighted throughout their years in baseball that they did not like each other. They were two completely different people. Now, A-Rod had to give up his shortstop position, obviously, when he got traded to the Yankees because Derek was never moving from shortstop. But I find that odd, or somehow that Derek Jeter agreed to be an interview on the HBO doc.
Could I say the same thing about Griffey Jr. being a part of this thing too?
No, because Griffey and A-Rod were teammates in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, but same could go though with Jeter and A-Rod.
Yeah, but I would say A-Rod and Griffey were far more directly connected in Seattle than...
how about the journalistic view of Katie Couric and Francesca?
So Katie Couric did one of the large interviews with A-Rod during the PED scandal. And Francesca, if you remember when he was having the whole argument with Michael Kay, and he wouldn't go anywhere near Michael Kay, and because Michael Kay was the one willing to be honest about what was going down with A-Rod. Right. And A-Rod ended up going to Francesca because Francesca gave him the soft landing at WFAN, and he was there for like 2 hours of the 5-hour show. And Francesca claims, and I don't know if I believe this to this day, but he claimed that A-Rod and his lawyer showed up to the WFAN studios And that's why they put him on air. Now, could that be true? Yeah, because A-Rod was looking for any type of microphone he could to claim innocent. But the reason he didn't go on Michael K's radio show at the time is because he was telling the truth.
Right.
And A-Rod, and what do most athletes say? They don't like hearing bad things about themselves. So that's why I think Francesa's evolved, because he did the long interview with A-Rod, like 2 hours long. And that was like the exclusive spot when A-Rod was talking. That was the whole situation where Bud Selig was involved, if you remember.
The Mitchell report had just come out.
I don't know if it was that time, but if you remember, like Selig was like back and forth trying to make the suspension. And I think that was the 214 game suspension that got
So.
that they ended up suing, and it knocked it down to like 180 something, I think.
211 games.
But I think it got knocked down, if I'm not mistaken, because they bartered it down in some aspect.
I think so.
Because it was the longest suspension in MLB history at that point. And I'm trying to see if I can find it. Let's see. Oh, right, because he was part of the biogenesis case.
Yes.
So it was appealed, and the suspension was later reduced to 162 games, a full season. But I think they purposely made it 211, knowing it was going to get bartered down. But if you remember at the time, do you remember A-Rod like totally just destroyed the MLBPA?
Oh, yeah.
And the MLBPA came out and basically said, even though he destroyed us, we have no choice. We have to defend him because he's in the league.
Yeah.
I remember saying at the time, why would the MLBPA want to help him after all the public statements he made against the MLBPA?
Right.
And I don't know if you remember also, Francesa had the reporter on, which he had the fight with, who had all the PED biogenesis stuff. And he kept interrupting the guy, and he said, "And Mike, let me talk." Like, it was a whole thing. So that it makes total sense that Francesa is in this piece, because he was there right in the middle of it. He had the A-Rod interview that changed everything.
Right.
Again?
No, we have some WNBA news about a coaching hire.
Oh, you're talking about Fernandez for the Wings?
South Florida coach Jose Fernandez, close friend of Gino Auriemma, has been named the head coach of the Dallas Wings.
Not the hire I was expecting.
Ties to Gino. Who's their star player again on the Wings?
Oh, Page. That's right. Okay.
Guess it makes sense.
Good call out right there.
With the A-Rod story, though, Nick, I think you're right, though. It smells of desperation from HBO to get some kind of content.
I think that's being nice, calling it desperation.
But also, it's like, did anyone sign up to have this docu done on one of the most controversial figures of the modern day game of Major League Baseball, with his attitude on the field, obviously sparking the brawl with Jason Varitek in 04 or 03? I mean, there could be a lot of layers to peel back here, but will this be the thing that he probably says, yes, I did it after all these years?
Well, he did admit it already after the fact that he did the PEDs. That's why he got the suspension. But basically, because you're talking about the Varitek A-Rod, the A-Rod was always one of the most hated, what's the word?
Despised athletes of all time.
Despised, yeah. Hated, most hated athlete in Major League Baseball.
And I think that was even, no. I mean, maybe it was when he became a Yankee more, because I think people liked him with Seattle. Then they had that lengthy contract in Texas before that bankrupted the franchise. But I think him going to the Yankees during that time, again, they were still winning championships at that time, just kind of added to the whole evil empire moniker. And then obviously the brawl with Varitek, the little swipe of Bronson Arroyo's glove at Yankee Stadium in the playoffs in 04. And maybe just some of the other antics still that happened off the field, maybe as you said though, where you pointed out, because you would know better than me, him and Jeter doing this in the clubhouse and on the field.
It was public for years that they did. They played on the same team. They were on the same side of the field, playing shortstop and third.
And they were doing this.
Right. And don't forget also, if you remember when Ryan Dempster was a Red Sox pitcher,
yes.
and he just basically beanballed A-Rod at Fenway Park.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the umpires just gave a warning rather than ejecting Dempster, clearly knowing that it was on purpose. Now, the other thing that most people forget is that A-Rod was supposed to be traded to the Red Sox originally, and the Players Association stopped it for whatever reason. I don't remember why, but I want to see if I can find that too. But I don't know why it got vetoed 100%. Let's see why. Okay. The trade of Alex Rodriguez to the Red Sox in 2003 was vetoed by the Players Association because it required a pay cut.
No surprise.
Which would have set a bad precedent for other players. The trade was a deal between the Texas Rangers and the Red Sox. Listen to this. For Manny Ramirez and pitching prospect John Lester.
That would have been something.
Can you imagine if that happened?
A young Manny Ramirez and an up-and-coming John Lester wearing Rangers gear and not the Red Sox gear.
Now, what happens if Manny Ramirez is with the Rangers and not the Red Sox?
No idea.
You don't have Ramirez and Ortiz back-to-back in your lineup?
No.
You don't have John Lester at some point?
Who became the ace of your staff for however long he was there?
And then fought through the cancer?
Yep.
Went to the Cubs. Was he part of that winning team also, or no?
Yes, he was in 2016.
So, 2 titles to show for it. I mean, imagine. And then the outcome. So when the Red Sox deal died, the Red Sox Rodriguez was traded to the Yankees in exchange for Alfonso Soriano. I mean, it changed baseball.
It did.
And that made people hate the Yankees more. Oh, the big bad Yankees. That's like when the evil empire thing
That's what I was referring to, yes. And now we can say that about the big bad Dodgers.
Well, the Dodgers are more spending money, not trading. The Yankees were known for spending and trading for the biggest stars in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers, they'll wait until they hit free agency and they'll throw ridiculous amounts of money at those players. Look at what they did to Shohei.
Yeah.
They weren't going to trade because they knew once he hit free agency, they'll throw a ridiculous check at him and he was going to sign anyway. Now, he was never going to stay with the Angels. We knew that for a fact. I don't think $1 billion would have made... Well, let me take that back. If the Angels threw $1 billion at him, he might have stayed. But if the Angels offered $1 billion, I bet you the Dodgers would have offered $2 billion if they could have. So it's going to be an interesting doc. Will I watch it? Probably not. Because
I have no interest in it, honestly.
I despise A-Rod as a Yankee fan, to be quite honest. Even though in 2009, because I think he was still part of the title.
Yeah, he was on the World Series team that year.
He was notoriously known for having horrible postseasons with the Yankees. One of his best postseasons ever. I think he had big hits in that World Series, if I remember correctly.
A really damn good lineup they had too, with him, Raul Ibanez, kind of at the back half of his career too, and obviously you had Jeter and all those guys.
I want to look that up just because World Series. Let's see, Yankees. Let's see. I think that was Teixeira. That was right at the beginning of the Teixeira move, right?
After he came from the Angels or the Rangers?
That had to be from the Angels, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if I could find the lineup, just because that was an incredible lineup, if I remember correctly. Oh, here. Jeter, Damon, Teixeira, A-Rod, Matsui, Posada, Cano before the Roid Rage, Swisher, Gardner, who I think the Yankees still handled wrongly, by the way.
Agreed.
And Pettit was on that team in 09, if you remember.
And Pettit was also linked to steroids at one point in time.
HGH, which they eventually forgave because it was technically in 03. But no one cares about this.
No.
Doc, it's HBO just stirring the pot.
Nice try, HBO. Nick, let's talk about another ongoing shift right now, but WBD has announced it has begun a review of strategic alternatives to maximize their shareholder value, which formally opens the company up to acquisition offers in whole or in parts. The move comes amid a turbulent media industry and the high-stakes negotiations of the NBA's media right deal that ultimately Turner Sports did lose. The sports assets for WBD currently include the NHL's include the NHL rights right now, while also Comcast, NBC Sports, Netflix, and a bid from David Ellison's Skydance Paramount could be the potential buyer. The official process accelerates the question of who will own key sports content, especially with the NBA deal already excluding Turner and WBD from it, and whether or not that the separation is still viable by mid of next year. Nick, with WBD being open for business, comes as the NBA dropped them already. But if WBD is ultimately sold or parts are spun off, though, what is the most likely fate of the valuable sports portfolio that right now still has baseball and the NHL? And does it also accelerate a pivot to a pure play streaming model for these assets, in your opinion? What do you think?
So, Warner Bros. Discovery has done some pretty stupid things over the last couple of years when it comes to their rights. And what's the guy's name again that we made fun of?
David Zablosky or Zelinsky?
David Zaslav, I think is the guy's name.
Yes.
So David Zaslav has been a terrible leader for Warner Brothers Discovery when it comes to sports. They lost the NBA rights. They had a license out inside the NBA to ESPN because that was the only way they could make money off that asset. I mean, I saw it. I don't know if you caught part of Inside the NBA on ESPN last night, but I think they actually did a really good job, and ESPN's doing a good job. Like, they licensed the actual Inside the NBA music, and they kept it in the Studio J in Atlanta. But I don't know. The reason that they had to start moving and spinning off these things is because they did a horrible job trying to keep their relationship with the NBA. And I don't know why Zaslav gave off the NBA. I think that was terrible. That was making them a lot of money. And I think everyone was so happy with NBA on TNT, and then you just ripped it out from them. So I don't know what they do. Obviously, the declining relationship that they had did not help. And that led to WBD now having to spin off because they're just not making the money necessary to remain profitable. Now, like you said, they have MLB, they have NHL, but who knows? Does this make you, in your mind, reassess those two relationships, seeing what Zaslav did to destroy the NBA relationship with TNT?
It feels that way. I mean, for them to get outbid by the partners that the NBA eventually took, is kind of mind-boggling for as long as Turner was a partner. For those who are wondering, by the way, the NHL on TNT deal signed in 2021 allows TNT to broadcast 72 regular season games, the Stanley Cup Finals, and half of the Stanley Cup playoffs each season, which also includes the Winter Classic game on New Year's Day and the Thanksgiving Day Showdown, which will feature the Rangers and Bruins this year. And the partnership also allows TNT to reach a broader audience, enhancing the visibility of NHL games in the U.S., where, again, Nick, I don't know how much money it's worth, though, but at least right now that it's a good starting point. But I still think, though, Nick, we're a long ways away from Turner recouping the losses of them not having the NBA, though.
Okay, so the NHL and TNT contract is $225 million per year.
And that's chump change what they were getting with the NBA deal.
This 7-year deal began in 21. Let's see if there's anything else. This agreement includes regular season playoff, like you said. The Turner Sports deal is part of a longer combined 7-year agreement with both ESPN and Turner Sports, with ESPN's portion reportedly valued at around $400 million per year. So ESPN's paying more, but I think they're showing more.
Agreed.
I don't get it. It's almost like TNT is like pulling back the reins, like they don't want to be the leads of any deal, which I don't know how to feel with it. Like MLB, they're not the lead either.
No.
I don't know who the lead is going to... Well, it's probably going to be NBC next year. By the way...
We're still talking about how NBC is going to be so damn loaded next year.
I mean, you're going to have 2 SNBs very soon between Sunday night
basketball and baseball.
I mean, and this is a segment that I would want... What was that T segment I wanted to do for next year?
Stock up, stock down. Yeah,
but I think it was like press up and press down or something.
Yes.
And this is kind of that teaser in a sense, because the way I'm thinking, like, whose stocks are up? Well, I would press up right now on NBC because they are totally owning everything currently between having baseball. They're going to have wild card. They're going to have other playoffs. They're going to have Sunday night baseball, which I think they're going to get a prominent announcer. I kind of hope it's Dan Schulman, by the way. I think that would be really good. Or John Shambi if he were to leave Marquee. But I would go press down on TNT and WBD because who the hell knows what they're doing right now, business-wise, over there.
We'll see what happens. Nick, one more story here before we get to hour 3 already of the show, but Charter Communications, a.k.a. Spectrum, has hired the Rain Group to facilitate the sale of its RSN, Spectrum Sportsnet, the local broadcaster for the LA Lakers and LA Sparks. A clear signal that Charter wants to exit the failing RSN business model, which has been battered by cord cutting. The biggest hurdle, though, Nick, to the sale is the Lakers' contractually escalating media right fee, which is about a league high $192.10 million for the current season and could approach $250 million by the end of the 2031-32 season. Industry experts believe that no prospective buyer, including potential bidders like Main Street Sports Group or tech giants like Amazon, will finalize a deal without the Lakers accepting what they're calling a rights fee haircut or a multi-million-dollar reduction to make the economics valuable. So, Nick, the second biggest media market is now facing the Lakers being a financial juggernaut, and the second biggest U.S. media market is now protected by a guaranteed rights fee. To get a deal done, how much of a rights fee haircut will the Lake Show actually have to take? And what does the RSN collapse, though, mean for the future financial model of high-value NBA franchises in the local market like the Lakers or even the Knicks and Nets?
So, you are right, the way this was written out. RSN business is a complete effing disaster right now. Look what happened to Root Sports in Seattle. We talked about that, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Look at all the baseball teams who are no longer on Root or FanDuel Sports.
But remember, we did the reported speculative story about how, like, a lot of that even some of the major market teams. I think it was what was it, Sam Kennedy, the Red Sox.
Sam Kennedy and Stan Kasten both sounded off on that, and that's 2 of the biggest spending teams in baseball, including, of course, the Dodgers, where Mr. Kasten does his operations.
I'm surprised the Dodgers would agree to that, considering the amount of money they're making. I'm surprised Red Sox, because Nesson's one of the most popular RSNs out there. But this makes no sense at all, because the RSN business is a shit show right now. The only ones that are going to survive are New York, LA, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston. Like, those are the ones at the top of my head that are survivable from a local perspective. Everything else is going to die.
Probably San Francisco, I'd say, too.
Okay, San Francisco. But look, Seattle, which is not a small market, they basically killed off Root Sports.
They did.
Which, did you ever see that one coming before some of the smaller ones? No. So, this is a problem. Are the Lakers going to take a cut? No, they're not. They're the Lakers, for crying out loud. They don't take pay cuts. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, the same way. You think they're ever going to take a cut for rights fees? We're America's #1 team. Which by value they are, but by winning they're not. But value is what all of that matters to these ownership groups. They could give two shits if they win a title, even though ironically, if they won a title, their values would grow higher. But are they going to take a huge haircut? The answer is no. They're not going
No.
to take a huge haircut. Will they take some sort of cut? Maybe. But here's the difference between, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, when rights fees would be constantly renegotiated. You have digital platforms now.
Correct.
So what stops the Lakers from saying, oh, I'll just go build my own digital platform? Go ask the Suns how that's working out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else. Like you said that the Ducks have it in the NHL, right?
The Ducks and Dallas Stars are on Victory Plus, which is a fast style streaming service.
Oh, the fast channels. Right.
Yeah.
So teams will just go off and do their own networks. And the advertisers will just come to them. And actually, it's cutting out the middleman because they get to keep more of that money if they're running the network on their own. So they'll hire everybody. They'll hire their play-by-play and their color and their operations team, and they can control it so they're not spending as much money anymore. So that's the way they got to look at it. Well, do they want to stay on TV? Yeah, I think they'd want to stay on TV because that's still a major for LA and New York. That's a massive thing to still have TV because not everyone's going to run off to a digital network to keep everything. So I don't know. What do you think from that perspective? I think they have to keep TV, but they can go off and make their own network if they really wanted to.
I mean, and if they do, they can just call it the Lake Show. They can literally use their own team branding to call their station the Lake Show or, whatever it might be. It is, though, Nick, interesting because at one point, before we get to the top of the hour here, and we get to our last hour, and we still have so much ground to cover after we had to cover the breaking news story this morning.
And we got to be out as close to possible because of Outsiders at 5:30.
But, at one point, though, Nick, when then Time Warner Cable Sportsnet launched back in 2011, I think, they had 3 teams on their station. The Lakers, the LA Galaxy, and then they had the Sparks on top of covering high school sports. And they had, daily Laker content with Access Sportsnet, the Lake Show, which is their social media talk show. They did a bunch of docuseries and they've won Emmys for the Backstage Lakers show, where it's like a very much pull the curtain back, follow a team all season. And that show was very insightful. They would do so many great pieces. They did a great piece on Lawrence Tanter, the longtime Lakers PA announcer that I absolutely loved, that they followed him around for a full game day at Staples Center. But now, though, Nick, with the Galaxy now off the station because of MLS having their Apple TV deal, the Sparks have seen a major reduction in coverage with just literally a WNBA League Pass stream now being put onto the station with the Sparks having their own TV crew. But not what it once was, where they got the full immersion of like the hour-long pregame with Allie Clifton or Chris McGee, where now it's only really Lakers content with some Spark stuff over the summer, but it's all about the Lakers. But again, though, Nick, with where, though, that the RSN model is falling now, but now, though, Nick, more importantly, it's the number 2 media market in all of the country that's now facing this massive hurdle. Because even the Clippers, Nick, have their own problems, though, too, with FanDuel, Sports West, and SoCal.
Right. The issue, well, I shouldn't say issue, but I can use this example just because I know it here in New York. So, like, the Yes Network is now running the Gotham Sports app.
Yes.
Which has the Yankees, I think the Giants, the Jets, the Islanders, the Rangers. The only one they don't have is the Mets, because I think that's just direct competitor. It would be smart if they all jumped in on the same thing. But is that a monopoly, though?
I mean, it could be. And I'll be eager to see, though, how this plays out, though, because, again, we're talking about, the almighty Lakers now might be losing local television, Nick, and they have been a staple of Southern California's sports television, on KTLA, KCal, FSN West before obviously FSN West became Bally and FanDuel back in the day, to obviously TWC, now Spectrum Sportsnet. Now the Lakers not even being on your local cable down in Southern California is just a little bit mind-boggling now because of how much the fee is right now, but also how the model of the RSN is just collapsing by the day.
Yeah, so we'll get into more of this, but as we hit the top of the hour, let's give you a quick word from Novig Sports Prediction Market. Hey fans, Novig is here to change the way you play. Available in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and New York. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market, and it's 10 times more profitable than traditional sports books because there's no house edge. Instead, you're betting directly against other fans just like you and I. Novig is also the only free exchange, which means you keep every dollar you win. And when we say that, we mean it. It's 100% of your winnings, not like DraftKings or FanDuel, who take part of your winnings for their profit. Whether you're putting plays down on the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, college sports, or even UFC and tennis, Novig gives you the power to pick the best odds or set your own in the process. Sign up today with code ETB Network, ETBNETWORK, and you'll get 1,000 Novig coins plus $5 in Novig cash and special bonuses like spend $5 and get $50 in bonus plays. Novig, where fans play smarter. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, before we move on, we do need to catch up on our press row parlays here.
Yeah, what are we feeling today? Are we feeling well, there's 2 NBA games today. We got Oklahoma City, Indiana finals rematch, and then Denver and the Warriors today.
So, and we also have Thursday night football also. So
give me Minnesota because I hate the Chargers.
I would tell you, because we did this already on our shows, I would stay away from the spreads. In this one, Zan and I took the over on this one. So if we just want to quickly give people our plays, I don't know if you can combine sports. I haven't figured out if you can parlay combined sports yet. But
let me get Novig opened up here and we can get moving.
But we could do the NBA. There actually is more than 2 games. Actually, or is it only 2 games? No, you're right.
I think it's only 2, yeah.
So, I like OKC against the Pacers. And the nightcap is a really good game. Nuggets Warriors. I think the Warriors,
like Golden State at home, though, is a pretty good wager.
Yeah, I would say Warriors, and then I would say Thunder. I don't know if that'll allow you to use it. Nope.
Yeah, and you can also parlay to the NFL as well. So I got OKC money line, Vikings Chargers over 44.5, Warriors money line tonight versus Denver.
Does that cover the? Oh, you can't use the boost though.
No.
Well, that's annoying. I guess we could just have fun with those and just do it that way.
Yeah, so right now that would be at the 3 picks. Again, Thunder money line, Vikings Chargers over 44.5, Warriors money line plays at plus 335, 100, a 100 no Bitcoin wager or play would get you a payout of 434 coins today.
Oh, you're doing the 100. Okay, so I'll do that too. I'll match you on that one. So that's our press row parlay for today. We will. How did we do on the last one? Do you remember?
Let's take a look and see what we got.
So go over to the settled. What was the last one we did?
We ended up losing the Houston or the Rockets one, I think, and we lost the Lakers one too by 2 3-pointers by Curry, and Luka went medieval in that game against the Warriors.
All right. I mean, it happens.
And our single game parlay missed out by 1 because Durant did not go over 24.5 points.
Oh, man. That's why we tell you don't lose sleep over gambling or you're going to go crazy. Crazy. All right, let's move into the next hour.
I was going to say, Nick, where do we go, though? Because we are against the clock. We are now in the last one. Do we want to go to our hour 2 topics or hour 3 topics?
I'm checking
This is,
really.
by the way, again, folks, this is only because, again, we had the very much developing story breaking news for hour 1, again, about the ongoing, and we're still hearing more trickling out about the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier arrest made today as part of that gambling probe. Not much more new information has been released today or yet made yet by The Athletic. So again, we're still keeping an eye on it, though. But again, Nick, sadly, maybe not sadly, but again, that breaking news story again really kind of threw the whole show for a loop here this morning and afternoon.
Yeah, so let's stick with some of hour 2 because I want to talk about the college football buyouts.
Sure, let's go ahead. You can lead the way here for the final hour.
Okay, so the dismissals of Florida's Billy Napier and Colorado State's Jay Norvell in October 2025 pushed the total coaching buyout sum for the current season past $100 million, now standing at approximately $116 million across 9 FBS programs. Napier's contract stipulates a $21.2 million guaranteed non-offset buyout. Now, the reason you're saying non-offset buyout is because James Franklin is dealing with his contract clause currently, meaning he gets paid the full amount even if he takes another coaching job immediately. This total figure continues a disturbing financial trend in college football where the cost of failure, buyouts, rivals the cost of success, coaching contracts. Other major buyouts, including James Franklin for almost $50 million and Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy at $15 million. As buyouts for firing coaches continue to balloon well into 9 figures annually, at what point does the fiduciary responsibility of a university board to its academic mission and budget override the desire to chase a national championship with a new high-priced coach? Mouthful?
Yeah, well, but I also know, though, Nick, that you and Zan talked really extensively on ATV Sports on Wednesday about this topic again. You know, you had asked Zan, is this commonplace where so many coaches in college football are getting thrown out the door like this with all these stipulations? And I think Zan said that, like over-unders, maybe 6 coaching, 6 of them maybe, or like less than 6 or 3, whatever it might be.
Yeah, he said normally it's 3 to 4. We've already had 6 or 7 already.
Which went to my point, though, that I remember discussing last Thursday here on PR. We're now, Nick, at a stage, though, where if you want to say corporate tomfoolery, as we were speculating about Adidas getting involved with James Franklin getting canned in Happy Valley, which, again, to Zan's great quote, it went from being Happy Valley to Sad Valley very quickly there with how they've played, though, over the course of the Big Ten season. But now, like I said, though we can say that players have so much control in this new NIL era, in the portal era, to my point, though, last Thursday on episode 20, we're now, Nick, at a point where the donors, the alumni, and the boosters, they feel more compelled, I think, nowadays to say, we're not afraid to eat up the salary of what the coach is. Get them out of here. It feels like nowadays in college sports, mainly more with football probably, but that the bullet now is getting bit more and more and more often, it feels like, because as we know, Nick, from the ongoing, circus with Bill and Jordan, we've heard, Nick, we've said it here on PR numerous times, UNC donors, UNC alums, high-ranking state officials calling Bill Belichick, greatest NFL coach of all time, a disgrace to Chapel Hill, a disgrace to the university in some way, shape, form, or size. That now it feels like that if the play on the field, Nick, is not what it should be, they will, in fact, bite the bullet and pay the money or eat the money to fire the coach and bring someone new in the middle of the season like this.
Yeah, so looking at these college football coaching contracts, which are absurd, by the way, some of the money.
They're only going to get worse.
And believe it or not, I actually think Penn State did something brilliant in regards to the contract clause.
To your point, last week, they basically took out an insurance policy on the Franklin contract saying, by stipulation, you now need to go look for a job in coaching or broadcasting where we're not on the hook for the whole $8 million a year buyout.
Meaning, just in technicality, in case people weren't listening last week, was that so he's supposed to technically make $8 million a year until the 2031-2032 season. So if he gets a broadcasting job that pays him $3 million or $4 million a year, they're on the hook for the difference, not the total. So they would only have to pay $4 million a year. Which, by the way, that was pretty smart contract language. Whoever wrote that, by the way, because the big joke that's going around right now is, what's the easiest job in the world? Go be a college football coach, get a large contract, basically suck, and then get bought out, and then you're rich for the rest of your life, and you don't have to care anymore. I'm surprised at how many coaches are getting kicked to the curb, but it's because of all the NIL money and the boosters now having more money than they've ever had before. That all right, we'll just don't worry, Captain. We'll buff out those scratches. Oh no,
This is a good one. This goes back in, folks, once more again here on Press Row, episode 21. Again, breaking news at the top of the show. Once more, you probably already heard it ago or heard about it, but once more, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier arrested among 30 people with the ongoing gambling probe that, again, per FBI Director Kash Patel, had been going on for at least 4 years. Nick, Front Office Sports did a very cool, clapback and reminder per Colin Salaho today. Colin went back in the archive and reminded people in 2014, Adam Silver wrote a now infamous op-ed in the New York Times about legalizing and regulating sports betting. What just happened today?
I remember that piece actually very well. Actually.
Ouch.
So he wanted it the whole time, and now look what's happening.
Twice within the last 7 months now, Jonte Porter, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier.
All I can say is, oops. Anyway, just looking at this college football situation, because there's so much money in boosters and there's so much money in NIL, that they don't even blink anymore buying out these contracts, which is insane, right?
It is, and I think it went to my point, though, probably from the Belichick ordeal, though, of where we've heard about, that there was a rule, Nick, that he could have been bought out before the year even started if they
For
felt
$1 million.
it was, for $1 million, if they thought it wasn't going to be the right fit. And now, obviously, with every loss now, it feels like that the boosters, the fan base, the alumni and donors are getting more and more restless. And again, Nick, we will talk probably about what Pablo Torre has found out about Mike Lombardi, here in this hour of Press Row here. But again, Nick, I think it goes to where, again, the changing times of college athletics. I also think, though, Nick, that with as much money now that we're giving out to coaches at these programs, the donors now don't really care. They'll eat the money if it means that they can get a better coach to bring better results on the field.
It's actually funny you bring that up because we're talking about UNC, and even though I was gonna skip over this story. Let's just transition into the second story because you're talking about it actually slightly. So the Pablo Torre and the UNC Lombardi story, since we're talking about UNC. So Pablo Torre reported that North Carolina football general manager, GM, Michael Lombardi, traveled to Saudi Arabia in mid-August, 2 weeks before the 2025 season opener, to seek investment and fundraising opportunities for the football program from the Saudi government or related entities. UNC later confirmed that Lombardi took an, quote, exploratory fundraising trip. This revelation suggests a major Power 4 athletic department is directly soliciting money from the public interest fund ecosystem to fund the escalating cost of college football, specifically to compete in the NIL arms race, with Lombardi brought in by Coach Bill Belichick to handle the program's business success. What?
We have a breaking news story again, Nick, revolving around the ongoing arrests. Dave McMenamin of ESPN has just put out a story that sources indicate that former 11-year NBA player Damon Jones, who was arrested as well today with the ongoing issues at hand, he was arrested on Thursday amid the charges that he allegedly disclosed privileged injury information about a prominent basketball player to facilitate illegal sports betting, per authorities announcing, with LeBron James being the prominent player per a source close to James telling ESPN.
Right. So we did mention that a little bit before.
So Dave is basically confirming that LeBron was mentioned, but to his account, though, James was not accused of wrongdoing in the indictment. Jones was one of 34. So now, Nick, it's gone from 30 to 34 people being arrested, along with Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Heat guard Terry Rozier, as part of a years-long investigation spanning nearly a dozen states now, and involving tens of millions of dollars per FBI Director Kash Patel. The investigation further outlined two separate cases, one on illegal sports wagering and on rigged poker games involving the mafia per authorities. Jones was a unofficial, unpaid part of former Lakers coach Darvin Ham's staff and is no longer with the franchise under contract or under current Lakers head coach JJ Redick. Darvin Ham invited James to be a part of team activities after James spent the summer of 2022 with Jones present for many of his off-court workouts. James was also unaware that Jones, his former teammate in Cleveland, and assistant coach, was involved in gambling activity when Jones spent time around LeBron in the Lakers during the 2022-23 season. Per the source, the indictment alleges that before a Lakers game against Milwaukee in February 2023, Jones texted a co-conspirator to get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight because LeBron was out for the game. That was also the night, I believe, Nick, it says. Hang on a second. This comes after James passed Kareem on the all-time scoring list in the game 2 nights before he sat out the game against Milwaukee and missed 3 games in a row because of a sore left ankle. Jones is alleged to have added via text, but he bet enough so D. Jones can eat 2 now, with 3 exclamation points, open and close quote. Without LeBron, the Bucks won the game 115-106. Furthermore, the indictment alleges that the following season, Jones provided non-public information to a co-conspirator in connection to the Lakers game versus the Thunder on January 15th of last season. The Lakers have not made a comment on the allegations, which when reached by ESPN on Thursday morning. So we can officially now, Nick, confirm LeBron was named, but again, no doing on his part, though. But Mr. Jones, though, did in fact link LeBron in some way into this scheme, per Dave McManaman of ESPN.
You know what? I'm going to do it too, because I just found something. Also, I just found a really interesting video, by the way.
What do we got?
I'm going to pull this up, and you're going to be... So, this video, which I'm about to show you, these are supposedly the type of glasses they used.
So, like a typical pair of aviators or Ray-Bans amongst a deck of bicycle playing cards.
Watch this, because this is insane. Because I just watched this on the side. Look at this. Look at that.
You weren't BSing about X-ray style vision glasses or contacts to look at what the cards were showing.
No, they actually, yeah, that's real. Your mind just got blown, didn't it? I mean, wow, right? You can't make that up, right?
No. You can't.
I don't even know what to say at this point about that.
Other than the fact that I think, Nick, that we're not going to get to the rest of these stories because there's going to be more stuff coming out from this lead story of the day in morning and afternoon here.
So Complex Sports, which I just came across also, Terry Rozier allegedly had over $200,000 delivered to his home after bettors cashed in on his under.
Jeez Louise.
So Complex is saying The Athletic said it. On March 23rd, 2023, Rozier, while playing for the Hornets, let others close to him know that he planned to leave the game early with injury. Associates bet more than $200,000 on Rozier's unders, and winnings were delivered to Rozier's home. The indictment alleges.
Yeah, everyone's mind is blown to pieces.
So much for getting to all the stories we're going to get to.
I mean, Dave McMenamin again, folks, per ESPN, senior NBA writer Dave McMenamin again, who covered the Lakers for a long time in his career, again has officially confirmed the reports that Damon or Darren Jones,
Damon Jones.
Damon Jones again did in fact let bettors know that LeBron James would not play in a game or at least one game within the last 2 years, per Dave's account again. 2 days after LeBron surpassed Kareem as the all-time NBA scoring leader, he missed 3 games in a row after for a sore left ankle, which per Dave's account, Nick, then went and said, put a big bet on the Bucks and go and eat when the game's over.
Right. And I just found something from Terry Rozier's lawyer also.
Boy.
So this is from Pablo Torre Finds Out. He got the quote. We have represented Terry Rozier for over a year. A long time ago, we reached out to those prosecutors to tell them we should have an open line of communication. They characterized Terry as a subject, not a target. But at 6 a.m. this morning, they called to tell me FBI agents were trying to arrest him in a hotel. It is unfortunate that instead of allowing him to self-surrender, they opted for a photo op. They wanted the misplaced glory of embarrassing a professional athlete with a perp walk. That tells you a lot about the motivations in this case. They appear to be taking the word of spectacularly incredible sources rather than relying on actual evidence of wrongdoing. Terry was cleared by the NBA, and these prosecutors revived that non-case. Terry's not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight.
Even then, Nick, I think that you're so right. And again, folks, we once more will remind you that this is Press Row episode 21. But again, we have been very much so on top of the ongoing NBA story involving the arrest of both Chauncey Billups and also Terry Rozier today. More news has come out today as this day has gone on here for our episode. Again, we have been getting to our regular topics, but we have, though, been keeping a watchful eye on the topics at hand, though, involving this particular set of circumstances. Again, we have a confirmed report once more now per Dave McMenamin of ESPN that reports again had named, because again, Nick and I were very confused about why would the Lakers be named in this. Again, it was the Hornets, the Blazers, Lakers, and there was one more team named the Raptors again with Jonte Porter. We were not sure why the Lakers were named, though. Again, to reiterate once more from Dave McMenamin of ESPN, Damon Jones, who was part of the arrest made today amid charges that he allegedly disclosed privileged injury information about a prominent basketball player to facilitate the illegal sports betting per authorities announced today. LeBron James was the prominent player named per a source now telling ESPN, and the source is close enough, Nick, to LBJ to let ESPN know that, yes, LeBron was in fact the player that in question here at this rate.
So we have some information from Brian Windhorst, also from ESPN, that allegedly the NBA tried to sweep the Rozier situation under the rug, supposedly. So this was Brian Windhorst on the Rich Eisen show, which just moved over to ESPN not too long ago. Let's take a listen to what Brian Windhorst had to say.
You're absolutely right, Rich. The NBA at some point is going to have to explain why Terry Rozier was allowed to keep playing. And I just want to point something out. Mm-hmm. The sports books caught the irregular betting on Terry Rozier the day it happened, the morning it happened, when all of a sudden...
Yeah.
The same thing, Nick, happened with Jonte Porter when he came out of the game with the illness, because it happened 2 games in a row, I think, was against Sacramento and the Clippers. But, Nick, when that happened, though, the wagering firm, the watchdog firms that help out the sports books, they immediately went like this and waved their red flag saying, hey, we got something going on here, but that is very, very fishy. You better take a look at it right here and right now and close the prop bets on this game.
Well, they do that anyway. If even if it's not an athlete, if they flag a bet that they think looks suspicious or there's a betting pattern that looks off, they close it off anyway. But when it's an athlete, now the only thing I will never understand is how do they figure out it's an athlete account? These sports books.
Where the Jonte Porter thing was apparently Jonte sharing it with friends of his, I'm guessing, or was it the co-conspirators, as we said, though, already, Nick, though, that the lead of that operation was caught at an airport at the gate, getting onto a flight to Australia, cashier's checks worth tens of thousands of dollars. cash of over tens of thousands of dollars in his possession getting stopped at the gate and then put in handcuffs and taken away.
So something's not adding up on that front. But
Let's go back to what Brian has to say.
And there was hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in on Terry Rozier unders for a relatively meaningless game in November. I'm sorry, in March, involving the Charlotte Hornets. The sportsbooks caught it. They told the NBA right away. And guess what? The NBA, Rozier didn't play the rest of the season. And he had faked the injury, so it wasn't because of the injury. The NBA pulled him. They pulled Jonte Porter, too. They flagged Jonte Porter and pulled Jonte Porter. The NBA's measures.
Wait, whoa. Hold on. Is he claiming that the NBA swept this under the rug?
And the Joe Dumars, legendary Pistons player with the Bad Boys, who I believe runs basketball ops for the league, tell the front office to pull these guys off their roster or out of games, or basically told them or gave them a de facto season-ending suspension that no one knew about?
If that's the case, that means the NBA would be in on it, no?
Yeah, and I think Christy Wilson's right.
Okay, this just opened up a whole nother can of worms, because this almost sounds like the NBA allegedly conspired?
Yeah?
Because they didn't want to deal with the, pardon the expression, the PR of it. So it almost sounds like they were trying to stop it so it didn't get out. All right. Now my head is totally blown now.
What else does Brian have to say?
Their protection measures, the sportsbook's protection measures, triggered this. They caught it. The issue, I think, is Jonte Porter. They caught, convicted, and tossed him out of the league within weeks. Rozier didn't, and this in this investigation. And I don't know if Terry Rozier is guilty. The NBA obviously didn't feel that he was. They wouldn't have let him play.
Okay, timeout. So according to Brian, he's saying that they did not feel that Terry Rozier was guilty. So they basically said, okay, we're done. We don't need to investigate it anymore. But something's not adding up. So if they claim that he's not guilty, what ball did they fucking drop that all of a sudden the FBI caught him and arrested him as part of the big probe with 31 people on one side and 6 people on another? Something's missing here. What are we missing here?
I couldn't tell you, Nick. By the way, I do have another story. But let's finish off what Brian Windhurst told Rich Eisen earlier this morning, because there is now a full list for MSN and USA Today, Nick. The full list of names of people involved has now been made public. But let's get back to Brian Windhurst first.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
But this indictment implies that there was a swath of conspirators. There was like his cousin, his cousin's friend. I mean, like all the way down to like low-level guys who won money on this bet and then immediately bet on other games and lost all the money and had to tell other people, man, I lost the money, I'll have to get it to you. Like really low-level people who were betting hundreds of dollars on this game, in addition to people who were betting tens of thousands. So my point about saying that is that there was a wide swath of people who were benefiting from this inside information on Rozier, according to the feds, and that the NBA either didn't discover that or knew about that and cleared him, they're going to have to answer for.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
So the NBA is just going to say, oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
You're going to play stupid now all of a sudden, NBA? Are you bleeping kidding me?
You can't tell me that they did not see that.
They put blinders on.
Because they didn't want to deal with the PR. Sorry, but that's what we're talking about here.
Which goes back to how I said, though, Nick, with the Athletic update, this commissioner is the same guy who looks like Beaker, for one thing, as we love to say. But, joking aside, Nick, it's the same commissioner who wrote the op-ed in 2014 in the New York Times about him in his league endorsing legalized sports betting.
I mean, you can't make this up. Like the way this is
You
going.
can't make this up.
I don't know what to say.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a reprieve here, Nick, because per MSN.com and per Steve Gardner of USA Today, within the last 15 minutes, the full list of people that were arrested have now been named with their code names too, with this ongoing scheme that was sniffed out today.
Before you give the list, is there any other athletes on that list?
I've not gotten that far yet.
All right, well, let's explore the list since we're already down this rabbit hole.
So it looks like there's not too many athletes listed.
But you're saying there could be some.
There could be. So in the gambling probe with the NBA, Eric Ernest, Marvis Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, who went by D. Jones for his nickname, De Niro Laster, Terry Rozier, who went by Scary Terry or Chum. In the rigged poker scheme indictment, the only name that sticks out is Damon Jones and Chauncey Billups.
Okay.
Other people, though, include, again, a bunch of like really nobodies: Ernesto Alio, Nelson Alvarez, Lucas Apicella, Amar Adewale, Sal Betcher, Chauncey Billups, Matthew Didino, Eric Ernest, Lee Fama, John Gallo, Marco Garzone, Thomas Gallardo, Jamie Gillette, Tony Goodson, Kenny Hahn, Shane Hennon, Osman Hody, Horito Hu, Zhen Hu, Damon Jones, Joseph Lanny or Lonnie, John Mazzulla, no relation to Joe Mazzulla, spelled differently, Curtis Meeks, Nicholas Minucci, Michael Renzulli, Anthony Rogerio Jr., Anthony Schneiderman, Robert Stroud, Seth Trustman, Sophia Wee, and Julius Zalani.
So there's really no names.
Other than just the three parties that we knew were already involved, though, when it came to when it comes to the likes of Billups, Rozier, and Damon Jones.
I'm trying to look. By the way, Sports TV News and Updates made a really good tweet, by the way, saying that all major cable networks were carrying the FBI press conference and ESPN networks did not carry 1 second of it whatsoever. I'm sorry. Who is the NBA partnered with?
They're partnered with ESPN.
So that's bad. That none of the networks, so NBA TV is not willing to carry it. ESPN's not willing to carry it. I I don't know what to say at this point, but this is just getting on and on and on worse. And I don't know what to say. This is just becoming a shit show for Adam Silver in the NBA. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, how do you fix this? Because, like Callan and I were saying, in the last 7 months, you had 2 probes that went down. You're stealing money from victims. You're allegedly stealing money from victims in a gambling scheme. I'm just trying to look at some of the documents that they're claiming here. 31 people involved, former players, game organizers. This doesn't get any better. They released a 22-page indictment and 32-page detention letter, which included photos of the technology and screenshots of messages exchanged. And it's been going on since 2019. So, all these code names are really stupid, by the way.
Oh, yeah, they are.
It also says the indictment says Billups participated in rigged games in Vegas in April of 2019 that took at least $50,000 from victims also. So there's a quote here that says the one guy on the end acted like he wanted Chauncey to have his money.
Unbelievable, man.
This is so weird. Another message sent by defendant Sophia Wee confirmed Billups and another player already know all the signals. Like, huh? Billups also participated in the October 2020 game, after which he received a wire of $50,000. So he's receiving wire money. Like, what the hell is this?
I mean, talk about a sophisticated ordeal, man, that was like very much meticulously done as time has gone on over these last several years, obviously.
Do you remember also that Chauncey Billups had a sexual assault allegation and a settled
Yes.
civil case? So
I do remember that, yes.
he's not exactly the nice guy that everyone thinks he is.
By the way, Nick, I do have some video here. ABC News's Aaron Katersky.
Savorsky
No,
on NBA Today.
No, it's well, it is, but it's Aaron Katersky of ABC News who joined the show to talk about the ordeal. Let me pull that up real quick here on Twitter or from Twitter, and let's get a listen to what Aaron told Shanae Agumake here this morning/afternoon on NBA Today on ESPN.
Now joining NBA Today, ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky. Aaron, thank you so much for staying with us here on NBA Today. What more can you tell us about what Chauncey Billups is being accused of?
Yeah, Sinead, Chauncey Billups, according to federal prosecutors, was the lure, the mafia allegedly paying him for his celebrity to attract high rollers to poker tables in the Hamptons, in Las Vegas, in Miami, and right here in Manhattan, so they would gamble, so they would play poker. What those people didn't know was that everyone else at the table was in on the scam because the games were rigged. Chauncey Billups was known as a face card because the mafia allegedly used his face to lure in these unsuspecting victims. The victims themselves were called fish, as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York explained in Brooklyn a short while ago.
The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes.
All right, so this is really nothing new, though. But again, ABC did join the program today on NBA Tip-Off or NBA Today on ESPN. Obviously, Nick, we hear maybe a bit about like a casino night for teams to maybe raise money for their, for the team charity or stuff of that caliber, where you probably use like, hey, come and play poker with, this person, that person. But it's never along these lines, though, Nick. This is just utter insanity. And again, more news is still trickling out.
I have more quotes from the front office sports article, too. The detention letter also includes a text Jones sent to Stroud. I don't know who Stroud is. It's probably one of the conspirators.
Yes,
asking for $10,000 in advance of a September 2023 game in East Hampton, New York. Stroud sent Jones $2,500 that day. Another text shows a defendant instructing Jones how to cheat and referring to other cheating players, this is insane, as the Steph and the Bron of the operation. LOL, man, you all called D. Jones, there's the nickname, in cause. You all know I know what I'm doing. Let me hibachi like Gilbert Arenas.
Oh, no. Goodness gracious.
That's how Jones responded. Arenas, another former player, was arrested this summer, charged with running a illegal poker operation. While Billups is not named the game-fixing case, he matches this description provided to, quote, a co-conspirator 8. Whatever that means. The indictment says co-conspirator 8 told Eric Ernest, who is the defendant in both cases, in March 23 of 2023, that the Blazers would be tanking and benching their best players in a game that night, leading defendants to place successful bets for Portland to lose.
Wow. Then furthermore, I'll pick up where you left off here, Nick. But both Billups and Jones are now both charged with counts of wire fraud conspiracy and money laundering conspiracy for the poker case. With Jones, I should say, Jones is facing the same 2 charges in the gaming fix case. The detention letter says members of the poker scheme committed violent acts, including assault, extortions, and even robbery, as well as making threats and intimidation. As Nick, we pointed out, though, that there was even some gunpoint threats that were also made too with this ongoing scheme.
Yeah, I mean, Billups' name is previously linked to questionable poker operations. Professional poker player Matt Berkeley had mentioned a rigged game 2 years ago. I saw that clip circulating on Twitter, by the way, on his Only Friends podcast that happened in 2019-ish in Las Vegas that he said was all built around Chauncey Billups.
By the way, Margaret Fleming of FOS did obtain the full detention letter from this case, and it's about 40 pages deep.
This doesn't get better. Like,
it's only going to get worse.
I mean, forget doing the rest of the topics we had planned. I guess we're covering this until 5 o'clock, but
yeah, we will be, folks. Again, once more developments coming out of the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, Damon Jones arrest again. Now we have, though, Nick, some more information again, as I broke, though, during the last segment. We were actually in the middle of with the ongoing Saudi Arabia funding for Mike Lombardi and UNC. But now Dave McMenamin, though, Nick, has confirmed there's now 34 members that have been arrested. So it went from 30 to 31 now to 34 within the last, I'd say, hour of reporting per McMenamin's account. And then we also can now officially confirm because we were led to believe, why would the Lakers be named in this when it was the Raptors, the Hornets, and the Blazers, where, again, Rozier had ties with Charlotte. Obviously, Billups was coaching the Blazers at one point. But now that the Lakers have been named, only because Damon Jones, who was a one-time player with LeBron and a coach underneath Darvin Ham's system with the Lakers, did tell a co-conspirator after LeBron broke the scoring record in 2023, he was not going to play the next night or next game in Milwaukee, which led to 3 straight games of LeBron being out with a sore left ankle, and basically go put money on the opposition to beat the Lakers without LeBron. And they obviously said, now you can go and eat, basically, with what you've done with putting down the money. So we have a bit more information here, Nick, with this ongoing story. Again, ESPN's Dave McMenamin, again, confirming that once more, which, again, Nick, goes to where we were earlier. This now confirms that the Lakers were, in fact, at least linked in some indirect way to this ongoing scheme.
Right. And then from Shams this morning, when he was on Get Up, he said the NBA had no idea the FBI was planning to arrest Terry Rozier today. So that further confirms the point of the stuff we were talking about earlier, that the NBA's either sweeping this under the rug or they're acting like, oh, I don't know.
So per Dave Purdum's original story this morning, Terry Rozier, and I think we may have said this, Nick, Rozier was arrested Thursday morning at a hotel in Orlando, Florida, and is being accused of partaking in the illegal sports betting scheme using insider NBA information. As part of the scheme, gamblers would use non-public information to bet on at least 7 NBA games, all between March of 23 and March of 24, that involved, so Nick, the plot does thicken. There's now a new team that has been linked to the story.
Who was it?
So, as part of the scheme, gamblers have used non-public information to bet on at least 7 NBA games between March of 23 and March of 24, involving Charlotte, Portland, the Lakers, Raptors, and now the Orlando Magic.
Interesting.
In 3 of the 7 games, players intentionally removed themselves from contests to benefit the gamblers' bets, according to the indictment documentation. The defendants, per FBI Director Kash Patel's account, had access to private information known by NBA players or NBA coaches that would likely affect the outcome of games or player performances, and provide that information to other co-conspirators in exchange for either a flat fee or a share of betting profits, per the indictment.
So I didn't see this, but was Venzino, was that one of the gambling things? Because apparently
I think so.
Venzino Locks LLC on Instagram, before this was about 4 hours ago, they tweeted it. someone tweeted it, that they put out locks, meaning picks,
Yes.
and it says Trailblazers +5 on an Instagram story.
Now I'm trying to find out why the heck that the Magic got roped into this thing.
Maybe someone put a bet on them?
Trying to see what I can find here.
This whole thing is just getting so wild.
Okay, I'm not really finding much about Orlando being involved, only for the simple fact that Rozier was arrested this morning in Orlando.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. This is interesting. The front office sports also said Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups is the first modern pro coach caught in a high-profile gambling scandal since Pete Rose's MLB lifetime ban.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything here. Rozier, who's 31, did not play in the Heat season opening loss to the Magic on Wednesday. 10-year NBA vet is on the final year of a 4-year, $96.2 million contract. So I don't know how the Magic are getting roped into it now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very odd, this is a developing story as we're live trying to get to the bottom. And now Gilbert Arenas is pissed at Rachel Nichols right now because she tried to drag him back in.
So a bit more from David, who wrote the story again? I'm sorry. David Purdom. Purdom this morning. So in court this morning, apparently, Rozier was wearing a black Hornets sweatshirt with green lettering and was shackled and handcuffed. Did not speak much except for when being asked basic questions by the judge. U.S. Judge Robert Norway on Thursday said that Rozier could be released from custody by putting up his Florida home for putting up his Florida home as bond, and if he coughs up his passport. Conditions, though, for release also stated that Rozier would be prohibited from gambling and restricted only to travel within the continental U.S.
But I doubt he's ever going to play in the NBA again at this rate.
I don't care. He's done. Because again, Nick, to your point earlier this morning, to start the show, he was already linked to something 2 years ago.
Right.
And now it's just like everything now is just coming out in plain writing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, though, did Rozier confess that he was a part of the scheme? Is that correct?
So he spoke to the defendants and admitted that he was going to say he was injured and pull himself out of the game. So yes, he did. So,
So real quick, the game that is in question, when Rozier was with Charlotte, came in March of 2023 against the Pelicans. Rozier, a then member for the Hornets, allegedly told his friend Laster, a childhood friend of his, he would remove himself from the ball game in the first quarter due to a supposed injury.
Yes.
Per the indictment document, Laster allegedly sold the information to two bettors for about $100,000. Those bettors, along with their associates in a network of proxy bettors, used the information to bet on Rozier's unders, according to the indictment. The money wagered was in the hundreds of thousands per the indictment document. Many of the bets won after Rozier removed himself from the game after 9 minutes, 5 points, 2 assists, and 4 boards. Rozier then paid for his friend Laster to travel to Philadelphia to collect the proceeds from the scheme for the indictment. Then drove to Rozier's home to count the money with him. His lawyer, Jim Trusty, said in a statement that his client is not a gambler and looks forward to winning this fight, open and close quotes. By the way, though, the NBPA also released a statement as well, Nick, according to the ESPN article here.
Yeah.
The integrity of the game is paramount to NBA players, but so is the presumption of innocence, and both are hindered with when player popularity is misused to gain attention. We will ensure our members are protected and afforded their due process rights through this process, open and close quote.
Yeah, but what due process? They're caught. The FBI has more evidence than they know what to do with.
And then to back up your earlier thing as well about the Blazers, a month later, a defendant referred to as co-conspirator number 8 allegedly told a bettor that the Blazers would be tanking and that several of their best players would not be playing in the March game versus Chicago.
That was Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, 4 regular players did not play as the Blazers got beat by 28 that night against Chicago.
By the way, someone did point out also, and we should connect this to it also.
Please do. Please do.
So I found the list, by the way. Someone posted the list and the date that they were added to the cases. I found a list. So this case apparently was filed on October 9th, 2025.
So the case was filed about 3 weeks ago.
Yes. And all of them were added the same day that the case got filed on October 9th. So,
Jeez Louise.
but someone did ask, and I'm looking in the Twitter responses, could someone ask the NCAA how the hell they passed a rule effective November 1st that
To
they
let
will
the kids gamble on professional sports.
like bad timing, I would say.
Is it bad timing or is it just pure stupidity?
Both. I think both can be right there.
Nick, they also did rope in one other player per the ESPN story.
Who are you talking about?
Current NBA free agent Malik Beasley, who was underneath federal investigation for gambling allegations, was not mentioned in today's indictments on Thursday, with his attorney previously telling ESPN that he is not a target of this investigation. The investigations, though, are ongoing per the attorney general. ESPN previously reported that some of the same gambling accounts that bet on Porter and Rozier props also bet on college basketball games. Sources have also told ESPN that the FBI has now been interviewing college athletes, and they believe the indictments are forthcoming for them as well.
Right. So we talked about Malik Beasley. If you remember, we did that story a while back.
But I think his was more about debts for like the dental bills, missing rent payments, and other things off the court.
This is never going to end.
This is not going to end.
And
today, and it's just thrown today's program into a massive just through the blender and the meat grinder and back.
I mean, you might hear from us again on. We'll be on the air doing the games on Friday, so we might have more to share with you tomorrow. But because we're coming up in about 9 minutes from this show being over, but we apologize because we had plenty of other stories.
We did, yes.
But this story is such a massive beast. And what you got now?
Nothing major, Nick. However, Front Office Sports is now live on Twitter, breaking this story down. If we want to watch a bit of it, we can. I don't know if we're allowed to, though, but they are hosting their live, open forum Twitter space right now, talking about the situation. If you want to go over to Twitter at Front Office Sports to watch it, you can do so. But they are, though, talking about the story in kind of its full entirety at this rate. Again, we've just been really following this entire ordeal. And Front Office Sports, Nick, does in fact respond that the other big news again, all college athletes will be allowed to wager on pro sports beginning November 1st. That has become official within the last 5 minutes.
Right. So Daniel Roberts from Front Office Sports, the news that college athletes will be allowed to bet on pro sports, quote, came less than 24 hours before the FBI announced a sweeping investigation into illegal betting on NBA games. Really? Really? I mean, what horrible timing.
As if timing cannot be any more impeccable.
And he also wrote, NBA arrest did not involve college basketball, but wow.
My goodness gracious.
How are we supposed to react to this?
I don't think, Nick, I've ever recalled a sports story just throwing the whole day for a loop as this one has today.
It's freaking taking over the headlines. Just trying to...
This is absolutely nuts.
I'm just trying to keep everything up to date because we're getting ready to go off the air soon, but... yeah, this is going to be a heck of a... Okay, so Andrew Brandt, who's been around for a long time, I think he's a former NFL executive, if I'm not mistaken. Um, he wrote, all major sports leagues, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, fought legalized sports betting in courts for many years. But when it became legal, they all embraced it, with it now embedded in our viewing experience. It was, well, wait,
Nick,
it,
Nick,
what?
Nick, hang on a sec here. I just found this within the last hour. FOS's Amanda Kristovich did release the statement from Charlie Baker about the gambling being allowed now by the college athletes. She writes in part, along with the actual screen grab of the statement. On Thursday, NCAA President Charlie Baker issued the following statement regarding recently announced sports betting indictments. The NCAA runs one of the largest integrity monitoring programs in the world and is the only major sports league to call for the elimination of individual participation prop bets because of the integrity risk that these bets would pose. Part of the statement reads in part, from Charlie Baker. We are grateful for federal law enforcement's efforts to stamp out illegal sports betting, and I am proud that the NCAA continues to have the most aggressive competition integrity policies in place. The association has and will continue to pursue sports betting violations using a layered integrity monitoring program for over 22,000 contests, but we still need more states, regulators, and gaming companies to help in this effort by eliminating risky prop bets to reduce opportunities for game manipulation. Furthermore, over 150,000 student athletes have partaken in gambling education through in-person and online training sessions through the NCAA's partnership with Epic Global Solutions, a comprehensive gambling harm and student athlete protection education program, has made available to all campuses and conferences with a blend of delivery options, including in-person education, workshops, and seminars, pre-recorded sessions, and on-demand virtual resources. I don't like this, Nick. I really don't. I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid.
I don't know. And I feel like we're going to find out more once we're out of here in like 4 minutes. But let's just say that extra 15 minutes to that pre-show tomorrow might have some more news coming the way. We might have to come on early-ish tomorrow and do an hour-long invest before the games, depending on how much longer this probe goes on for. Have we ever seen anything like this?
Never.
I don't know what to say here. Like,
so thankfully, Nick, front office sports' Ben Hornet has laid out the whole timeline of how the sports wagering side of this went down. I'm almost, and I think the story is going to probably be updated as time goes on, because they have laid out the three main games we've talked about involving Rozier, the Hornets losing to the Pelicans, Rozier telling his friend De Niro Laster that he would remove himself from the game early for it. They flew again to Philadelphia, all that stuff. Another co-conspirator again talked to Chauncey Billups, say we're going to tank the game so we can win some money here. Again, they lose by 28 points against the Bulls, and then 2 days after LeBron breaks the scoring record, Jones sends a text message to a co-conspirator and says, get a big bet on Milwaukee tonight before the information is out. Player 3 is out tonight, LeBron James. Bet enough so D. Jones can eat to bleep now, or sick now, open and close quote. And by the way, the only other Laker who did not play in that game other than LeBron James, Scottie Pippen Jr.
I mean, we could go on for this for hours, but
Scottie Pippen, by the way, his dad was a Blazer at one point in time with Billups.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're right. Well, as we come up at the top of the hour here, unfortunately, our show is over for now, but we might have to plan for an hour-long pre-show tomorrow.
Don't give me any ideas. I might hit that damn red button for a later program this evening.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. I mean, at this rate, we might end up watching some games on top of doing stuff later if we have to talk about this.
My goodness.
Because I think you and I need the break before tomorrow. But if if we find out more NBA players are involved, or
more teams are involved, other coaches are involved, or anything else that may involve this, involving the game, the league, the commissioner's office, other players, we will
might
bring it
see
to you
it
in some
later
way,
at this
shape.
point.
Yeah, we might in fact bring you more. We do need at least a day to catch our breath, but we will probably, and I think Nick will probably, we both probably will update you on Twitter with what we do in fact here on the ETB Network account for this as time goes on.
Because this is not over.
We're a long ways from it being over. Like, the first shot was fired though with the arrest being made today, but now you're going to wait for the paper trail to come about here as time goes on.
But as we hit 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, episode 21 is officially, ironically, in the books.
Blackjack, baby.
We didn't even mention that once during the whole show. You said that to me.
Goodness.
Yes, Christie 21. Yes. But that'll do it for this episode of Press Row. Make sure you follow the Empty the Bench Podcast Network on social media at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Network. Make sure you go subscribe over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Help us hit our watch hours goal of 4,000. Hey, just go turn on a list and just have it loop. It helps. Do us a favor. Watch the episodes. As we get closer to 4,000 watch hours, it helps our channel grow. It helps us do with some monetization features, which help us to grow the channel faster. So please help us out. Finally, thanks to Playback, who houses our show on this platform. Thanks to the Novik Sports Prediction Market, as we have our Press Row Parlay, which was the 2 money lines tonight and over on tonight's Thursday Night Football. But that'll do it for the show. Also, for next shows, WNBA Lockout Watch, October 30th, 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern, due to your work obligations, which I totally get. And then on Halloween, the spookiest day of the year,
Ooh.
we might see some real spooky stuff. That's an official Code Red event. That is planned one way or the other. We might do a 5-hour show, possibly into the night.
Maybe.
For WNBA Lockout Watch. But that'll do it. We need to head off the air because in a half an hour, MMA Outsiders, Zan's not feeling well today, so Jack's going to do the show solo today. But he's going to preview UFC 322 and everything coming up with that. But until then, we might see you later, unfortunately.
We'll
fortunately, however you want to look at it. If we... I can't even breathe right now.
Neither can I.
Here's the one thing. If we're going to come and we're going to talk, we might make it worth the while of everybody to come watch some games, because we're not just going to sit here and just talk your ear off again, because we already did that today. So if we come back and we need to talk some more about this stuff, maybe we'll sit and watch a game, because
we'll probably watch Denver Golden State, because it's the night game at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, because we'll make it worth your while to come back. We're not just going to talk your ear off and not show you something in the process.
Right. Exactly.
So until then, this has been episode 21. He's Callum the Clerk. I'm Nick Morgeson. Maybe until later, or until officially tomorrow, because we're watching the games tomorrow. This has been Press Row. Have a good afternoon. Have a good evening, whatever time zone you're in.
We'll see you around, gang.
We'll see you around, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day, everybody.